We're going to go and start. First thing, Henry, would you open in prayer?
Let's stand. Let's pray. Father, Lord, we come this morning thanking you for your grace and mercy, goodness, and love, and blessing us, Lord, to be here today. We thank you, Lord, for the liberty, life, and the ability to pursue happiness in this great nation. Lord, we ask you to bless this meeting, bless all who are here, and whatever comes out of it, Lord, that it will be to the good of this county and the citizens. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, we'll call this meeting to order now. You have an agenda in front of you. We will approve the agenda first. We've got a couple of changes we need to make. Under department reports, A1, there'll be a 2 added, which will be a public hearing to discuss the budget. After E, there'll be a F added. Timmy from the water department has some changes to the water policy. And then under new business, I will talk about the commissioner meeting for July. Under closed session, we're also going to add a 4 at the end of the general statutes that we're having closed session under.
And I want to add 5 too.
You want to add a 5?
A5, A3, 4, and 5.
A3, 4, and 5. All right, we'll add a 5 there. All right, if nothing else, we'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right. Next on the agenda will be the approval of the minutes. You've got a copy of your minutes there. Are there any amendments to the minutes that need to be made? Brenda Costin.
Yeah, I had that one.
1079. Midway down, Commissioner Hall made a motion, and it's just a repetitive motion carried without opposition, then there was a vote. Just strike that out, the 4 words.
Okay. Are there any other changes to the minutes? We've actually got 3 sets of minutes. We've got May 2nd. May 10th, which is a special meeting. May 14th, a special meeting. May 21, which is a regular evening meeting. And May 24, which is a special meeting.
On the May 24th minutes, the paragraph that starts Timmy Hedgepath.
Okay.
Second sentence, Mr. Simmons suggests as a means to. That should be Mr. Simmons suggests to establish for future expenses.
To establish.
For future expenses.
Striking prepare
Yes,
for establish.
right.
1081.
Is there a second part of that? Okay, deal with that in the budget.
All right. Are there any other changes, gentlemen?
I think the May 21st is the E&R minutes. We need to recognize that they are equalization and review board minutes rather than
Regular meeting.
special
You
meeting
said May
or
21?
May 21
Page 1080.
is,
Oh, we had two meetings that day, right?
We can say we can't vote on the E&R minutes right now.
yeah, you need that. And April 30th as well.
April 30th for E&R minutes, too.
April 30th and May 21st.
April 30th minutes. Oh, there we go, okay. E&R. All right. In that case, are there any changes to the commissioner meeting minutes of, let's see, get the dates right, make sure we're right. May 2nd. May 10th. May 14th. May 21st. And May 24th. If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
So moved?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, now we've got two sets of minutes in here from the Board of Equalization we need to approve, which will be April the 20th, is that right?
30th.
April 30th and May 21st, Board of Equalization and Review. We have a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Motion is second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, that takes care of the minutes for the meetings. All right, next on the agenda will be the citizens' comments. All right, on the first one, we've got Mr. Thomas Hill.
Ladies and gentlemen, County Manager, Commissioners, I'm here today to stand before you in hopes that business as usual no longer occurs. May I present to you an idea of spending, pay-as-you-go policy. If we don't have it, we don't spend it. As the other night, people of Gates County stated their thoughts of the idea of the library. Because of a family emergency of sugar, I was not able to attend. So allow me to express my thoughts today. It would be one thing if this library, speaking of the money that's going into it, it'd be one thing that the library was created for commerce. It would be one thing if the people actually voted on it, but they didn't. And it doesn't. It doesn't create any revenue. And so it puts it further down into the debt. I would ask that we would halt this project to let cooler heads prevail, to let time span go forward for us to take a second look at this. I believe it'd be in the county's best interest to have a slower procedure done on this. Perhaps even an idea of having the county vote on it themselves. November election's coming up. Why can't we let the county vote on it instead of the commissioners? This is, again, the people's money, not the commissioners' money. Commissioner Jordan, I personally challenge you, sir, to a debate over said project and other issues dealing with Gates County. I ask for just not a forum, but an actual debate. Gates County's first debate, where you could choose a Democrat to ask whatever questions you so desire, and I would ask a Republican to ask questions as they would so desire. No prepared questions, no prepared answers. And have a third person to keep fairness with time and with the questions and answers. I would ask that, that for a mutual location, that you and I could personally agree to, and we could certainly put this library, the debt, and other issues of Gates County to rest. This would certainly give the people of Gates County an idea of where we both stand and put to rest any questions. What say you, sir? Would you honor me in a debate for Gates County?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
this is not a forum for a challenge of a commissioner, or to put a commissioner on the spot, so I would ask you to refrain from any challenges coming from the podium.
I would also debate that these issues that we deal with is the people's money. This is a very public issue, and I'm asking just simply that Commissioner Jordan would better define his
Well,
issue.
let me-
Henry, would you like?
Let me address
Okay.
Yes, sir.
a few things, first of all. First of all, the library is something that's already happened. The board has voted on the library. The funds have been borrowed. Ground has been broken. There was a majority vote. You know, this is something that we're bringing up. It's not going to be stopped. You can go to whoever you like, the LGC. It has been passed. It's going to be done. I don't know of anything right now that we could do to stop it. So to debate on the merits of whether or not we should have built the library or not is water under the bridge, so to speak. And to keep bringing it up, it stirs up the public. The process that we've gone through is the correct process. It's the democratic process. And I don't think an issue like this should be used to try to stir the emotions of the public for or against the library at this point. It's done.
Well, sir, I would certainly argue that 1.5 million is certainly something worth debating and worth discussing. Again, this is the people's money, not you all's money. This is
Okay.
to be spent by,
Gentlemen, we're not
Yes,
gonna
sir.
have any more debate here. If y'all two gentlemen would like to have a debate, you contact each other outside of the commissioner meeting and set it up with the parties.
Mr. Jordan,
That'll be between y'all two.
understood.
Thank you.
I look forward to your phone call, sir.
Thank you, Tom.
Yes, sir.
All right, next on the agenda, for the, not the agenda, but the public comment, Ms. Lulu, Yor?
Good morning.
Hi, Lulu.
I just would like to state that I do think that we need to try to keep the commercial horticulturist position and pay our fair share. When Marjorie Rayburn was in there, she did a lot of farm exhibits. I went to them. That is one reason why I now raise produce and sell at the farmer's market, is because of that. We have no one to call when we have a problem. So I do think we need to keep that position, and that way we do get the help of the other two counties that we go in and with.
Thank you,
Any
Lulu.
questions?
Who's in that position right now, Lou?
Right now, it is not filled.
Nobody in there now?
How long has it been empty?
A little over 2 years.
2 years? Okay. Thank you,
Any
Lulu.
more?
All right, next, Mr. Reggie Askey.
Good morning.
Hey, Reggie, how you doing?
Thank you for the opportunity to come in and address the board and the county manager. I also am concerned with the position being filled with our horticulture agent. We have horticulture, livestock, and Marjorie Rayburn was our forestry, and in the extension now, we're kind of a community thing. It's kind of like helping your neighbor. You know, when your neighbor's in trouble, we help each other. So it's this tri-county thing with the extension service, Bequimans, Chowan. We work together with our agents, and Gates County, those other counties, Bequimans and Chowan, they support the agent and pay the salary. And so Gates County also does that. And in order for us to have these agents and good quality, we have to, pay a salary, and we have to help support that. And Chowan and Paquimans County actually support their percentage of the salaries more so, or higher percentage than we do. And I think at the present time, when Miss Margie was in the office of that position, I think the county was supporting 24% of her salary. So we're looking at wanting to push this salary percentage up to 30% paid by the county. And I think that we need to do that. We have a new agent that will be coming aboard, and actually our percentage of what we're going to be paying will be less because the salary is going to start at a lower point for this new agent. I'm born in this county. I've been here all my life. I farm, and in order for me to stay in business, we have to have the support of these agents. We have to have this knowledge, this technology, in order for us to be able to meet our needs and be competitive in the world market. And all our stride is to stay in business and have the best knowledge we can get, and we need the extension. Paul Smith has done an excellent job, and Reba also, in the past 2 years of filling this position, of getting us the need. We've got questions and answers of finding the specialists and getting it to us, but we need this specialty person in this position. And I'm asking the county, the commissioners, to support this thing of giving this pay raise this percentage in order for us to keep this position and do our part as a county, along with Paquimans and Chowan County. Thank you.
Thank you, Reggie.
Thank you, Reggie. Sheriff is on the next schedule. Sheriff, I'm going to get Ricky first, and then I'll move to you, because Ricky's going to speak on the same issue. Ricky Morgan.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ricky.
I too echo what Reggie just said. We three counties are working together, and to be honest, I didn't use Marjorie Rayburn that much as a farmer, but I did use the livestock agent, and livestock agent is being paid by Paquimans, and if we don't have our agent here, the way I understand it, if we don't support our third, then we're going to lose the use of that livestock agent. And I have cattle, and I used to have hogs, and I used our livestock agent very often. When I have a question, I call him. It keeps me from having to call a vet a lot of times. And just for example, there's a Coastal Cattlemen's Club, and we have an auction. We have a sale of our calves in the spring and the fall almost once a month. And we couldn't have that without the livestock agents. The livestock agents man it. They send out the letters. The Extension Service keeps up with all the records of who sold what and what the calves weighed and that kind of thing. So our Cattlemen's Club could not have this sale that we have. And this is a sale where the farmers get a premium, because our calves are what they call preconditioned. They're weaned so many days before we sell them. They're vaccinated. They have all these preconditions, things that are done to them. They're the Asian source verified. So we get a premium for these cattle over what we would get if we took them to the auction. And like I said, we couldn't do this without the livestock agents. That's one particular thing. So we need to hold up our end of these agents of a horticultural position for me personally, so that I can use that livestock agent. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Ricky.
Thanks, Rick.
All right, the last one on the list would be the sheriff.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Sheriff.
How are y'all? I just wanted to, if I could, just take a couple of minutes. I came before you all last week and working on my budget, and I know as an elected official, that you have things that you have to do in moving the budget and moving money around and things like that to make things work for the county and for the citizens of the county. I, too, am held to that as far as what is in my budget and what I'm allotted to use and spend in my budget. I had something brought to my attention yesterday, and the reason I come to you all today is because I'm still a little hot under the collar. It was brought to my attention yesterday that there was some money going to be brought before you all today, or supposedly a budget amendment brought before you all today to remove some money from a car budget in my line items. It was told to me that, and I'm aware of it, looking at my printout, and I've known about it for some time, we're going to be over budgeted this coming year in our fingerprint equipment. In my car budget, I had $4,370 left, and I was told yesterday that due to the fact that that little bit of over budget on the computers, that there was going to be an amendment possibly presented to you all today to take $3,000 out of my car budget to pay for that amendment. Now, normally I wouldn't have any problem with that. The only problem I do have with it is if you all are aware, last year y'all allotted me to have the 911 surcharge money to purchase 2 vehicles, which I did, and I bought 2 used vehicles, which came to a total of $23,334. Well, if you take the 911 surcharge and the $25,000 that you all gave me, that allotted me my $75,000 to buy my 3 vehicles, which I greatly appreciated. But if you take the $23,334 that should be left over in that $50,000 out of surcharge, and you add that together, that comes to a total of $48,334. Well, that $48,334, we had the so-called, I kind of jokingly somebody referred to as the hiccup of the $390,000 deficit. And I was told then that I was going to have $20,000 pulled out of my budget. That left me with $25,250. Okay? I went back and looked, and finally it was after things go along and we get along. A check was written to Dick Bailey Ford on 3/26/2012, excuse me. Hold on, let me get the right paper. Written on 3/26/2012 for $23,084. And that was written out of the E911 surcharge money as well. Okay, that still should have left me the $25,000 in the car budget for the sheriff's office. The $20,000 was taken out, and then I was told that I could purchase that car after my first one that I ordered. We couldn't buy it because of the hiccup. So I was told I could not purchase a car. So I lost that one. That one was sold to another agency through the dealership that I deal with. When I was given the okay to go back and hire or get my next car, I purchased that car through Dick Bailey Ford again. A check was written for $23,084, which was also out of the 911 money. Now understand, the sheriff's office $25,000 had not been touched. Okay. At that point, the $20,000 had been taken out. My question is now, the $20,000 was never put back in to my car budget. As it ends up now, I have a car that has been bought and paid for, and it's sitting in South Carolina, and I don't have any money to put blue lights and stripes on it. If the $3,000 is done today, an amendment that you all supposedly are going to get today, that'll put me down to less than $1,000 on my car budget. My first question is, and this is where I'm just trying to get to the bottom is, where did the $20,000 go that was taken for the so-called hiccup? And second of all, I have not been made aware of any money being taken out of my budget. I have not signed any budget amendments. Those are my 2 questions to you all this morning.
We'll talk to the miner about this issue.
I would appreciate it,
All right,
especially
so
if one of the amendments that you all are going to deal with today is that amendment to take that $3,000 out of that $4,700 some dollars.
We'll deal with that. That's the next on the agenda anyway.
That's why I wanted to come in before.
Okay,
So just
that's
a
fine.
comment. Thank you.
All right, that's next on the agenda is Sandy, our departmental reports, and the budget amendments.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sandy.
I've actually got a handful of items here. We can start with the budget amendments and go ahead and get that taken care of. I think the first one was actually in your packets. There was a grant project budget ordinance for the hazard mitigation plan grant that Billy Wynn received. You all approved this grant back in I believe, March, but a budget amendment was not done. This is being done as a project ordinance because it's going to cross fiscal years. This way we don't have to renew it for next year. The grant amount is $70,000, and the total amount will be spent on this project, and there won't be any county funds to match. So I just need approval for this project ordinance. We'll pass that one. This one probably needs to be done separately.
Is that
From
budget
another
revision
amendment.
67, is that what you're talking about?
No, that's the project ordinance. This one was in your packets
Oh,
that were
okay.
mailed to you.
Y'all have any questions on the,
Sandy, $70,000, I see it's a 13-county operation
Yes.
program. The $70,000, is that the total
Yes.
to operate the whole thing?
We'll basically be hosting the grant. All of the funds for the grant will run through us for all of the counties.
see, this is the grant we voted on, a week,
March, I believe.
in March to accept it. This is just
Yes.
the budget for that grant.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we adopt the ordinance for execution of this grant, hazard mitigation grant.
All right, we've got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right.
All right. Next, we can do the budget amendments, starting with number 67. I apologize for not getting these in your packets, but as you know, we're at the end of the fiscal year. We're trying to wrap some things up. Number 67, the EMPG grant that Billy Wynn receives each year. This year, we will receive an additional $4,988. This amendment is to budget for him to spend that money and also to reallocate some funds within that line to cover some overspending. Number 68, we budget the merit increase in one line item at the end of the year. Once we know what those figures are, we do an amendment to move that money to the different departments. That is what this amendment is. This is a two-page amendment because of the number of departments. It's broken out by the salaries and benefits for each department to cover the merit increases that were given throughout the year. Number 69 is to reallocate some money within the communications department and also fill a shortfall in their part-time salaries. They had several full-time full-time people who were out for some time during the year, and we did not budget the part-time salaries to cover that. When they're out, somebody has to be in there 24 hours a day to cover it. It's not like other positions where they don't have to bring a part-time person in to cover those hours. Part of this, I think, will be helped this year with that extra position. We've talked about the extra full-time position. The requirement won't be as high for the part-time hours. Hopefully that will take care of some of this. And then there's also some reallocation in there. We covered what we could within that budget, and the rest we have used the leftover in the merit increase line to cover. Number 70 is to reallocate some money within the soil conservation budget. They're not going to have to pay the office equipment lease this fiscal year, and this is to cover the payout for the comp time format that you all approved last month. Number 71, this is the one for the sheriff that I believe was just discussed. The first part of this is to reallocate salaries from the full-time line to the part-time line to cover Ray Freeman's salary. That was originally budgeted in the full-time line, so we're moving that. There was a shortfall in his computer and fingerprint equipment line. At this point, we are past the May 31st purchasing cutoff. There were funds available in the vehicle line, so I was planning to use that money to cover that shortfall. At the end of May every year, we cut off all purchases except for special circumstances. No request has come through our office. I didn't realize there were outstanding purchases through the sheriff. The sheriff has not come and talked to me about his concerns that he's brought to you this morning. So that's what this amendment is. If you all want to talk about this later, we'll have to find some money elsewhere to cover that fingerprint equipment line.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
while we're going over these, anything related to the sheriff's department this morning, I'd like to do those separately
Okay.
and discuss those at the end.
Okay. I pulled 71 out.
That's
I'll
number
set that
71.
aside.
We'll pull that one out then.
Okay, number 72, we are using some of the leftover money in the merit line to cover higher than expected legal expenses and also the animal shelter operations budget, which was a little short as well. Number 73, we are reallocating some funds in the planning budget. Morgan is moving some money around to cover some different charges that she's had in there. Again, no additional funds here. These are so far reallocations. Cleaning up for the end of the fiscal year. Number 74, I've sat down with Jeff and gone through and also done the same thing, reallocated to cover some of the shortfalls that they had. And also the amendment that we did to bring in the part-time person, that money was put in their full-time salaries line. We've had to move that into the part-time line to cover that position through the end of the year. Number 75, generally this wouldn't have come to you, but because I had a stack, I brought it to you. It's just moving some money around within the building and grounds budget to cover some items in her vehicle line that she needs to cover. Okay, I have pulled 71 out. Are there any questions on any of the other amendments?
If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve the amendments 67, 68, 69, 70, 72, and 73, 74, and 75 as presented. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the stated amendments.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, you want to discuss this 71, Jack?
Yeah, Sandy alluded to a couple of comments there about it, so if you could bring us up to speed on 71, that would be good.
Okay.
Anything you want to add?
The $20,000 that the sheriff discussed was part of the budget shortfall that was discovered, I believe, back in January. You all approved the changes that we made. There was the $20,000. He was approved for 3 cars this year. We discussed the fact that he was able to save some money and would have some money left over at that line at the end of the year, so we withheld that $20,000. That was never released. There were numerous things there that were never released because we understood the funds were there to cover the purchase of the 3rd vehicle and whatever equipment he needed to purchase. The $3,000 that we're moving is because we have gotten into June. We're through the end of May. I assumed everything had been taken care of. I've not heard any requests to make any purchases. If there is equipment that needs to be purchased for that vehicle, then we'll need to go back and revisit his budget to make sure it's there. That's where this amendment came from. Several of these amendments are to remove money within budgets because we're past the purchasing cutoff and we feel like we know where we're going to be at the end of the year.
So how much money do we need?
I don't know because I've not seen a request for the equipment.
How much money we need, Ed?
Have you put a request in yet, Ed?
No, I had not put
No.
a request
Okay.
in.
All right.
Understanding though,
Okay.
gentlemen, I'm sure you understand, that I was, like I said, we lost our first car because of it, so I had to reorder.
Well, I understand that.
No.
We're talking about the car you've got now with marking.
How many cars did your department get this year?
We've only gotten 2.
3. You have 1 in South Carolina. 2 you have and 1 in South Carolina.
Right.
So the commissioners approved you get 3 cars this budget year, and you got 3 cars this budget year, correct? Okay. So we'll make sure we're all clear on that.
And I also have here, Toby, on the date that you looked at me and asked me, you've got $28,000 to buy a car with, can you make that do? I said, certainly.
Mhm.
Since that time, it's gone from $28,414 to $24,670. Now it's gone from $24,670 to $4,700.
All right, let's get to the issue at hand now. You've got the car. and need to get it budgeted.
I need approximately.
What we need you to do is to let them know how much money they need to get squared away so we can get the budget, find the money for that.
I'll make a motion that we take $5,000 out of fund balance and cover these short.
We
Let-
don't need to pull it from fund
there's no
balance.
need
We
going
have
into
other
fund
lines
balance.
that we can pull
Let,
it
let,
from.
let the budget people do their job, and then,
I think if this issue had been brought to Sandy and I, we probably could have resolved this without having to come to you, but for whatever reason, it was chosen to be brought to the board. We can definitely take care of this outside of the board.
Can I respond to that, please?
Well, we got $3 million.
let's get out of the fund balance, Johnny, please, if you don't mind, let's deal with this issue.
Well, we got something we need to pay for, Brown.
It's
There's no-
just
this
arbitrarily jump
this
into
is
the fund
Mickey
balance without
Mouse.
getting the answers.
This is Mickey Mouse. This is
None of this is
absolute-
Mickey Mouse when you're dealing with
Yes,
tax
it-
money.
Yes, it is. I
Maybe for you,
understand
but
that.
not for me.
This is an accounting issue. This is an accounting.
Well,
issue.
let's let our accountants take care of it, gentlemen.
Well, let's get it paid.
Sandy,
Sir.
you and Toby, see if you can find the money.
Yeah,
And get,
certainly,
Sheriff,
we'll
would you
certainly work it out.
put the number with our,
I'll
we'll,
be glad to find the money. I think
Let-
we've got some in my car budget. This year, we're in the last month of the budget that we can appropriate and move. But I was made aware of this yesterday afternoon about 5 o'clock. This amendment was going to you all today. I have not seen it, signed anything.
well, this amendment's not going anywhere until we get this money taken care of.
Yes, sir.
And then on the-
I'm
don't-
trying to work with it, but
Bring it back to the 18th to the night meeting when we'll have a special meeting, we'll complete the amendment at that point in time. There's no need standing and arguing about it, that we get the job done.
I'm not here to argue, sir. I'm
Okay.
just here to try to present it to you all.
All right.
I found about it last night, or yesterday evening, about 4:35 o'clock.
After our accountants will get, Toby and Sandy get the money squared away with you, and get it taken away, and then on the 18th, we'll take care of the amendment. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Do we have, we got a motion on the floor. We have a motion on the floor to take money out of fund balance to pay this. Do I have a second? All right, motion dies. All right, let's move forward. Sandy, you got something else now,
We've
right?
got two other issues. We have the budget ordinance, and then we have discussing the USDA loan refinance. I don't recall what order it was put on the agenda.
Let's do the loan thing first, and then we'll do a public hearing.
Okay. The information was at your table this morning at each of your spots concerning refinancing the USDA loans that we've discussed. Included in that are the bank proposals and the recommendation from Toby and I to refinance this to a 15-year note. The spreadsheet that I prepared shows you, what the new loan would be, our repayment plan, and the other information. And we just need from you the approval to go forward and let us know what you all want to do with this loan.
Discussion. I recommend that we table this until I can calculate the internal return on this. Last time I calculated this, between 10 and 15 years, it was like 28% return on the money versus 55% return. And what's the difference between the payments at 10 years and at 15?
About $50,000 a year.
All right.
You want to make that as a motion that we table it?
Yes, I would, until I can calculate the returns and see what this is, and show you guys what you're signing up for. This is exactly how we got in this trouble to start off with. Exactly.
All right, you got a motion to table this issue. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, we'll table that. All right, the next thing, we got a public hearing.
Yes, the 2012-13 budget. I sent you all the ordinance by email, and I believe I've also put copies there, but I believe you have to have a public hearing on it today, and you can discuss any changes that you'd like me to make, and I assume you're voting on the 18th.
Okay, we need a motion to go into public hearing to discuss the 2012-2013 budget ordinance.
So moved.
A motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. We're now in public hearing. Are there any public comments on the budget amendment that's been published on the website and it's been available for anybody that was interested in it? We'll take any comments from the public at this point on this budget amendment. Oh, I'm sorry, budget ordinance, I'm sorry.
May I say something?
Yes, ma'am. Stand up and,
Ms. Miller, could you state what part of the county you're from, if you don't mind?
I know that's what I want to comment
Okay.
on.
Okay.
As far as the sheriff's department goes,
We're talking about the budget amendment now. We need
Okay,
comments on the
so-
budget amendment.
but you're going to pass it, right?
No, we're not gonna vote on it today.
Okay. That's all I need to know.
Okay. All right, are there any other comments on the budget amendment, ordinance? If not, we'll take a motion to go out of public hearing.
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, we're gonna have, do any commissioners have any comments on this, budget ordinance,
You know, on section 6,
section 6?
item A. I note, and I don't remember us discussing this, it says, in the amount not to exceed 2,000, I believe this was 1,000 in the last ordinance.
It was.
It was.
That's correct.
So, why the change?
So that we don't have to bring small amendments to you.
What is wrong with small amendment?
There's nothing wrong with them. Same reason why you have them below 1,000, so they don't have to come to you.
That's right.
But
Well,
they do come
I
to
don't-
you.
Any amendments that are
They do
passed,
come to
even,
you.
even if they don't come to you prior to them being posted,
gotta
they do
remember.
come to you as an FYI after the fact for discussion. They're included in your packets. None of the amendments are posted that you don't see. They always come to you. It's not that we're trying to withhold information from you.
I'm not saying that, saying, as you know, I don't like amendments to start off with,
I'm
especially for
very
line
aware of that.
items. I mean,
Right.
Only when it's required to meet the audit situation, right? But I understand why you want to do it, and I appreciate that. So I'm very, trying to be understanding in that way.
Mhm.
But, I don't see where this really makes any difference. Well, if that's the case, we just well make it 100,000.
That'd be fine too.
No, I don't think so.
Well, I agree.
That's
So, I
you
mean-
all's call. I mean, it's in there, the change was made. You all make the decision on how you want that to read.
Right. Well, I recommend we put it back to $1,000. I don't know how much we need.
Any other comments on that issue?
I agree. I think it should remain at 1,000.
Jack?
I'm okay either way. I mean, it's $1,000. I mean, we're trusting these people to handle a lot more than $2,000.
Kenny?
I'm sort of like Jack. It really doesn't matter to me as long as we're seeing them, no matter what they are.
Let's go ahead and make it back to $1,000. I don't think we need to vote on that. Any other issues? We've got some other questions coming up from extension, right, that we're gonna need to discuss. This may fall into this budget.
Yeah.
We may have to have another workshop of some type, haven't we?
No, I don't think you'll need another workshop. I think whatever issues Mr. Burke brings to the table, we'll probably be able to resolve.
Okay. All right, we'll move on with that change for now, unless there's any other changes we'll need, we'll let you know.
Okay, once we get all the changes in place, I'll get it emailed back to you for review.
All right,
and have
thank
it
you,
ready.
Sandy.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next on the agenda will be Ms. Renee McGinnis, our tax assessor, administrator. Assessor, all of it above.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Renee, you got anything in this envelope this morning?
It's-
In that
um,
envelope,
This here, do you have anything in?
Yeah.
I think it's a repeat of what you should already have in your packet.
Okay.
you should have something.
Well, I got it in my packet. I just want to put this away when I can.
Okay. With your tax collector's report this month, nothing out of the norm to report. As of the end of May, our collection rate was at 93.59, which is a little bit above where we were last year at that time. We were at 93.4 last year. As of this morning, I'm to the point that I do a day-by-day look at this. As of this morning, we were at 93.79. And as I had emailed y'all earlier, we have sent out letters in reference to delinquent taxes. We sent those out June the 1st, so we're hoping that's going to help us get some more in before the end of the year. Do y'all have any questions in reference to the collector's report? If not, we have had another situation that has come up recently that needs some of your attention. As you know, a few years ago, we put an ordinance in place where we have to sign off that no delinquent taxes are owing prior to the county issuing a permit. We've had a situation recently that has arisen that we haven't had to deal with before in reference to an individual here in the county receiving help through some of the grants that are issued through different phases of government and whatnot as far as improvements on their homes. We have a situation now, and it's not just one, we're going to have actually 2 or 3 of them, where individuals that have been approved and chosen for these grants owe delinquent taxes. And from here, I think Mr. Jordan has been working on this little project, so I'm handing it to him.
Okay. Well, what we have is the recipients of these grants are generally the elderly, disabled, and it may involve low-income families. So many times what's happening is that, you know, they're on limited income and they try to pay in installments and they end up not paying the full amount for that year's end. So these grants are targeted specifically for those people. And I would ask that what we would consider is waiving the requirement for the single-family rehab grant, the community development block grant, and the housing committee grants for the elderly, disabled, and the low-income families with children who qualify. In waiving that tax delinquency requirement, I would also add that we would have made, that recipient would have made at least a 25% payment on the outstanding tax debt for that property within the last 60 days. And also, I would add that the policy that we foreclose on the property if it's 2 years delinquent still is in effect. So in essence, what we have is that if the county waives the delinquency, you're going to get an upgraded property. That property could be $40,000 more, have a higher value of $40,000 based on a single-family rehab grant. And if you did have to go into foreclosure, after 2 years, you've got a property that you can put on the market that's more marketable. So, you know, in waiving that, it gives the recipients the chance to pay it and not lose the opportunity for this grant. And the problem we're running into is, especially with the single-family rehab, is that it's hard to qualify. In other words, we can have someone in the county that has a home that's very dilapidated and needs that money, but the way the grant is set up, it has to be a home that it is in fairly good shape, and they want to bring it up where it will be have a higher market value. In other words, they're trying to increase the inventory in the county of marketable homes. You know, we didn't think that up. That's what came from the grant administrator. So, again, for the single-family rehab, community development block grant, and housing committee grants, I would ask that we would waive the delinquency requirement, providing a 25% payment has been made within 60 days, and also that we still keep in place the foreclosure requirement of 2 years delinquent.
Renee, on that, can y'all track that? Is that going to be an issue if y'all trying to get this information, having this information when the the
Well,
permits
it
applied for?
shouldn't be an issue with us having the proof that these permits are being issued due to, you know, a grant that has been
I mean, we
issued, because
won't-
they would have to be approved for that grant.
They still would have to
prior
have
that.
something from your office saying that this is a fact. It wouldn't be approval, and it may still be delinquent.
It would not be an approval that all taxes have been paid. It would be a little different than what we issue now. I just, with what Mr. Jordan has said, I just want to clarify a few things if y'all move forward with this. When you're speaking of the 25% within 60 days, that would be within 60 days, the 60 days prior to the issuance of the permit.
That's right.
Okay, and also with not to do away with the 2 years. So what I'm seeing, anything that still owes 2 years stays in that foreclosure process. So basically what they really are going to need to do is pay everything up to
Within the
get it
2
out
years.
of that foreclosure process and then make a 25% payment on what's left.
Well,
I
if they,
guess.
got- if they
I
got-
just need to,
if they got out of the foreclosure process, they should be okay. If a person has been awarded a grant that's in foreclosure, they've got to get out of foreclosure.
okay. So basically, we would need to get them out of that situation, and then they would need to pay 25% of what is left?
Well, I would think that if they got out of that situation, that would cover the 25%.
Okay.
But they're gonna
okay.
need to.
That's what
But
I just
basically,
need
you're
to
saying this-
clarify.
if they were in foreclosure, they couldn't get the grant anyway, is that right?
In other words, they're gonna have to go to someone else. If they're in
Okay.
foreclosure, we're not gonna stop the foreclosure process
Okay.
for the grant. I mean, they have to come out of that. But if they're behind, you know, they've been paying 25%, they paid $100, $200, they're getting limited income, Social Security, whatever, and they haven't gone to that 2 years, then we would work with them.
Okay.
But if they're in foreclosure, I mean, they've got to get out of that, or
Okay.
they have to go to someone else.
I just want to make sure that if y'all decide today to do anything with this, that it's very clear to us what falls into this category. And another thing also is keep in mind that some of the delinquent taxes that may be owed may be on other properties, not the one receiving the grant. So we need that clarification as well as to whether we're not even going to consider those other delinquent taxes, or they do need to be paid, or are we just looking at the property?
How you do it now for a permit? If I come get a permit, do
All-
you check not just the property, but everybody, for
All
everything they own?
delinquent taxes have to be paid.
Okay.
So my only concern with this is that it's made very clear by y'all to us as to what we do and do not approve.
Well, what I would like, my proposal would be, board, would be that it would be only for this specific property. If they have other properties, that doesn't qualify.
Are we, are you gentlemen gonna, are we gonna vote on this? Do we think we're gonna vote on this?
I'd like to have a written proposal before we vote on it, so we know exactly, I mean,
Yeah, well, I'm sorry about that, gentlemen.
I've got a couple of questions
Yeah.
that I would have before we voted.
Will y'all be meeting again this month?
Hmm?
Will you be meeting again? You do not have another meeting
we've,
this month?
we've got a special
So-
special budget meeting.
On this, I guess, let's talk about the 2 years, and I would apply that 25% on the first in, first out type basis, or the oldest to applying it up to bring it up wherever it brought you to. I mean, it might bring you still 4 years delinquent. But we would apply it as 25%, and then we still got a problem if we don't get into the 2 year.
Well, if the 25% is applied only for those properties not into foreclosure. If you're in foreclosure, you've got to come out.
Okay.
So the property we were talking about the other day, you know, they need to come out of that foreclosure status. Because that's something we haven't changed.
And I would tend to agree that it would be property specific. I mean, a person could have 50 rental houses out here, and he wanted, and all of them be in that status, but if he wanted a permit on that particular one, I mean, obviously, I would want to go do that, but I don't think that's really being realistic to apply it against everything.
Right, well,
I think
yeah.
it would be parcel specific.
Yeah.
Let me say that I would, one of the things that I jotted down here, I would, I think I'd rather state the 25%, Commissioner Jordan, rather than from the permitting, 60 days prior to permit. I think I'd rather have that say 60 days prior to the award of the grant. Because the permitting could come, with technicalities or things like that could come so much later. Do you think the award would be better?
Well, that would give them more leniency. I mean, if they were selected in, let's say in March, that means if they paid something in January, although we're in May now, they would still be okay.
What I'm thinking is we go to citizen A and say, we've seen your property, we've looked over your application, and you are certainly a candidate for this award for a CDBG grant. But you have one issue, you're delinquent, and we can't make the award. I mean, that's far before we get to the permitting, because I wouldn't want to make an award to somebody and say, oh yeah, by the way, before you get your permit, you have to do this. I would tie it to the award.
Well, that's when they
Does
look
the
for-
county
that's when-
have the authority to make that one of the requirements
Well,
for
the
these
award-
grants?
The awards are conditional. In other words, whatever award you get is conditional, providing you have no outstanding taxes and that sort of thing.
And as to the other parcels that someone might own, very unlikely that that's going to occur because we're dealing with low income,
Right.
and there's not going to be enough parcel out, unless it was an
We do have one situation
unless
where
it was
that's
an
the case.
an inherited situation or something like that. But I would agree on the parcel specific. I'm definitely in favor of that because I know who these candidates are. I know there's great need. I mean, in the past, we've getting some of these people from no bathroom in the house to a bathroom in the house. So there's great need in almost every situation.
How many you got now? You say you got two that this is an issue with. Is that what you're telling us?
We do have two that well, actually, we're going to end up with three that it's an issue with. The fourth one, with this particular situation, there are some delinquent taxes owed on personal property, but I don't think it's going to be an issue with that.
Another thing, Mr. Chairman, you could have a person who's in great need but can't dispose of an additional property that they own 1/10 of with 9 other people,
Right.
and they can't resolve it. So that would be another good reason to have it parcel specific.
So, would y'all be willing, and I say, Jack, you sound like, the 25% payment will be before the award of the grant, or at the time of the award of the grant? Is that what you're saying?
I could sign off on that real easy with being parcel specific and 25% prior to the awarding of the grant. And Henry, I appreciate your due diligence on this.
Henry, is that something you?
It's a good thing.
Well, yeah, I'm all in favor of that.
I will say that doesn't help us with the situation at hand because these grants have already been awarded. I mean, I think that's a great thing to move forward with, but it doesn't help us with
Well,
the situation
we can
have at
actually act
hand.
on these, how many you got, 4 you say?
We're going to have 4 that have been approved.
We could actually act on those 4 individual, and I would think that would be the issue.
Okay.
Now, this is a policy moving forward, but those 4 are something that this policy wouldn't work with because they're already in the process, the grant's already awarded.
All 4 have been awarded?
All 4 of them been awarded, is that right?
They're awarded
And they
pending.
can't get the permits because they owe back taxes, is that what I'm saying?
That's right.
I think the thing to do is to vote on that first, and then deal with this policy as a secondary thing.
And if you do that, as far as the policy, you know, I think that would give you time too, that I can work with
Make
Mr.
sure we've got
Jordan,
the
and we
policy
can get
right.
that together and come back with the policy for next month.
All right, in that case, you want to go? We'll entertain a motion that we forego the requirement of tax approval before permitting these 4 jobs,
These 4 grants.
the 4 grant jobs that we're talking about.
I do still want my 25% out of these, though.
If they pay 25%, is that what you're saying? I don't know that we can do that too. I mean,
Are we doubting that we will do that?
Receive.
Yes.
Mr. Jordan might be in a better position to answer
Well,
that
I
than
think they,
myself.
most of them have paid something within the last 120 days.
how many of these fall at the 25% rate? Any of them?
2 at least.
That could be approved just like they are if they pay 25%. The other 2,
Let me say this. Waiving the requirement this morning is not going to stop you from doing what we've already put in place. That means if there are 2 years, you'll still be going forward with foreclosure notices. What this is going to do is just going to allow you to sign off for the grant.
get the work done.
Right. Now, I guess the other question is, are the grant administrators, are they willing to move forward with outstanding?
That I can't answer.
Yeah. So, we'll make them aware
I
of
know
it.
I had been specifically asked a question if any were
But
in.
what we're saying is these 4 have already been approved for grants, is that right?
That's
They've
right.
already been awarded. And what's holding up the work is getting the permit because they don't have the taxes, they got delinquent taxes.
And out of these 4, the 25% represents how many dollars?
This can be less than 1,000.
For less than $1,000, I think we need to go ahead and move forward. We spend,
Yeah.
we're going to entertain a motion to approve these 4 permits to move forward.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Go ahead and move these forward, and then we'll get this, Henry will work on getting this,
We'll work with that.
y'all
And-
work together, make sure that's, and bring it back to the commissioners in the next month.
And since this has come up, one thing I will make y'all aware of with the issuance of permits, we do have some that come in as far as for handicap ramps, and of course, in a lot of cases, those handicap ramps are just temporary things anyway, and this has just been something I've kind of done on my own, but we have not been worrying about signing off on taxes for permits for handicap ramps.
I don't blame you.
I'm not gonna, that's, like I said, just a personal feeling of mine, I'm not gonna
Unless
prevent
it becomes
somebody
an
from
issue,
doing
I
that.
don't think we need to worry about it right now.
So that may be something that we may include in this too, just to take care of that. So,
All right, thank you, Renee.
any other questions with anything?
The list that you sent the other day, are we moving on those?
We will, once we get to the 30-day period, we're hoping we're going to get some of that funding in before June 30th, and that will be our closing date. We've given them 30 days, and then we will move forward with those. Any other questions? Okay.
Thanks, Renee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, Patrice. There she is.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hey, Patrice.
Hi. I'm here to present the FY 2013 Rural Operating Assistance Program grant. It's an annual grant that we do each year encompassing 3 different funding sources: EdTab, which is Elderly and Disabled Transportation Assistance Program, Employment Program, which is Transitional Workforce Clientele funding, and Rural General Public Transportation funds. This year, the grant is pretty much the same with a few exceptions as it is every year. This is the time that we establish our plan of work, places that we go and when we go at this time. This year, the major difference in this grant is that back in March, we wrote 2 grants utilizing these funds to leverage those grants. Back when we did the one for dialysis transportation to separate that from the other transportation services, the grant that we used for, that we wrote for that, and the grant that we wrote to transport to Lewiston, or through a Hosky and Lewiston transportation services. So these funds is what we wrote that we were using as matches. Of these funds, we are applying this year for $103,628, of which $49,620 are Rural General Public Funds. We used $17,000 of that $49,000 to leverage applying for the other grant for the employment transportation dollars. And the EdTap program, we are requesting $47,567. We used $25,000 of this year's allotment to leverage applying for that grant. That's one of the major things of the program. This year, the only differences in the grant are looking at eliminating some of the times that we are transporting currently. And the reason that I'm looking at doing that is that when you sign off on this grant, we sign off that we will continue these programs throughout the entire fiscal year. If we don't, we would lose our ability to be reimbursed for the other funds that the federal government's, like our capital and our admin grant. So we're looking at some of the trips that people have not been used as frequently. So if you look at the page that says Gates County Interregional Transportation System, it's the description that has the fares structure. That's our description for the year.
Patrice, what page is that?
It's about 5 pages from the back.
Yeah, it's right in front of the certified statement. Under, I guess we see basically the anyone can ride. The third line, well, the second line down where it starts with at the end, trips to Edenton will be provided Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings from 10 to 12. Previously, we have been providing a trip at 6 o'clock in the morning, which has been used as a dialysis transportation trip. We have had one person that has utilized this year. She has since moved to the Ahoskie site. We currently transport dialysis patients now to Ahoskie and to Suffolk. We don't have anybody going to Edenton or Elizabeth City. This dialysis site can also be transported to Elizabeth City or to Edenton. So I'm proposing that we do away with that 6 o'clock time that we've been doing to help us to, I guess, better use the funds. And we go to Elizabeth City every day, so they could also transfer to the Elizabeth City site. So that was one of the things that I was looking at eliminating this year. And then 4 lines down from that where it says trips to Norfolk, Virginia are made Monday, Tuesdays, and 2nd and 4th Thursdays from 10 to 1. We currently go Monday, Tuesday, and every Thursday. I'm proposing that we do away with 2 of the Thursdays that we provide services to Norfolk. And where it says trips to Portsmouth are made on 2nd Wednesdays. We've had 2 people to go to Portsmouth this year, and we've been doing it on 2nd and 4th Wednesdays. I'm just proposing to do it on 2nd Wednesdays. And to the Hampton VA site, we were doing it on 1st and 3rd Wednesdays. We actually are currently taking more people to the Elizabeth City VA. There are a few things that you cannot access at Elizabeth City, so I didn't want to eliminate Hampton, but just changing it from 1st and 3rd Wednesdays to just 3rd Wednesdays from 10 to 1. Those changes. And in-county trips, previously we have charged $2.25. What's the only fare that we have change on? We're looking at eliminating that and just having it for a $2 fare instead of the $2.25. Because we don't make change, and it's kind of difficult sometimes to get those funds. Those are actually the only differences in providing the services.
Patrice, dealing specifically with just the dialysis patients, how many do you feel comfortable saying how many of those transports, how many different people are affected by dialysis treatment?
We transport currently 11 dialysis patients.
You transport 11.
11.
And they all go to
They go-
Ahoskie and Suffolk?
Ahoskie and Suffolk.
Okay, how often are you transporting all 11 daily?
Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays.
Monday,
All
Wednesday.
of them currently go on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. The dialysis is either Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Currently, we don't have any on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays. They're all on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays.
Okay. So we need to go and have a public hearing on this application
Yes.
for the grant, is that right?
Yes.
All right. In that case, entertain a motion to go into public hearing to get public comments on the application for this transportation grant.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, we're now in a public hearing. We're entertaining comments from the general public on the application grant for the GITS operation. Do I have any public comments? Would anybody would like to make a comment on this application?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a comment. Just
You're
for-
not a citizen right now, but go ahead.
Just for the clarification for some of the people who are here, who might be thinking about asking this question, it's a federally funded program.
Federal and state.
The people who use, we're talking about GITS, G-I-T-S, transportation system. The people who use the system, they do pay a small portion, so they do make some payment for their trips. And the county's financial involvement, do we have that number?
Our financial involvement is exclusively inside of the user fees.
Okay, all right. So I think that's important for the people to know that it's being funded outside of our tax dollars as well.
Outside of county tax dollars.
County tax dollars, yes, thank you.
All right, if there are no other comments from the citizens here today, we'll entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
So, second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, any more comments from the commissioners or citizens that happen to be sitting beside the desk? All right, if not, entertain a motion to approve this application as presented by Patrice.
So moved.
Motion, second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Thank you, Patrice.
Thank you.
All right, the next on our agenda, Ms. Reba Green Holly, our Cooperative Extension Director, with a whole bunch of books.
Morning.
My understanding, Mr. Chairman, Reba's been limited to 3 minutes this morning, is that right?
And 2 books. You can't have but 2 books.
What I'm presenting you today is the final report from the Growing Gates project that we did last year with the forums that were held in the county. And if you recall, that project was to give us an opportunity to do some needs assessment and strategic planning as it related to ecotourism from an economic point of view, and looking at the assets that Gates County had that could lend itself to further exploration and projects to position us for tourism and to increase the aesthetics of our county. In your report, you have, and that project was done with the help of North Carolina State University and the College of Design and Cooperative Extension. In your report, you have included the highlights, the introduction, workshop events and results, design and planning and solutions at the regional level, the destination gates, concepts and strategies, your next steps and summary. And just to highlight on your next steps, it's recommended that you create a task force and countywide land asset mapping, which basically helps you look at what your resources are and how you can move forward using those to maximize your stance here in the county. It also talks about doing further market research and analysis to determine your target markets, and then you can set goals and objectives and plan strategies. Your task force should include buy-in through multi-stakeholder approach for strategy development and focus on both environmental stewardship, having minimal impact, and economic development, and also realistic research-based and market-driven strategies for your ecotourism in the county. The second part of the countywide asset mapping project is for you to get an understanding of the characteristics of your land assets and how that can help your communities identify which assets are best suited for different purposes. And this would play into your zoning and all the other policies that you have in place, and help identify your local government needs to best use this your land for economic development in these areas. And existing themes that could be involved in this asset mapping would be existing occupied structures and zoning, prime ag soils, waterways, water resources, historic and scenic resources. And also, the summary gives you opportunities, constraints, ideas, and strategies. And then it also, in the appendix, gives you additional funding resources and assistance that could be looked at for future needs or funds or technical assistance. So in looking through this, I know it looks like a lot, but if you zero in on some of the findings, it pretty much helps you see where you need to go from this point so that this doesn't become a dust collector on the shelf. And you got a lot of bang for your buck from this project with the grant that was written to get that project done for you. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Do you have this electronically?
I have it on a disc. They sent me one, and we're displaced, so when I can get to our computer discs and stuff, I'll try to make copies for everybody. Any other questions?
Yes, you could email it to us, could you? Once you...
Yeah, once I load it.
You know what file type is it?
It's a PDF.
It is in a PDF.
A lot of interesting stuff here.
It has a summary of everything that was discussed in those hearings, well, not hearings, but meetings for the citizens with their comments, and it can be used for future plan and to start making some
Can
things
we
happen.
post this on our website?
Yeah.
If we created a task force with the individuals that helped us to do this, would they be willing to communicate, even to assist them at some point in time, or would they be a resource for the task force?
You're talking about the School of Design?
Right.
I'd say yes and no. And by that I mean they've been downsized because of the cuts at the university system. And so when I call, they will provide me with some technical expertise, but for them to come out and actually provide the kind of support that they did on this would entail paying them some fees, which are still not as high as a consultant, but it would mean they would need additional fees.
We can get this on the website. That'll help so anybody can look at it. It'd be nice. All right. What's next?
Okay. The next thing that I have is a request for support for Rosen School signage. As you recall, this particular project enabled us to get the Rosenwald School, which is the EIC building, on the National Register. So it didn't cost anybody here any money to have that happen because of the grant. And one of the things we'd like to do is have a historic steel sign that goes out front. marking that, and the committee that's made up of citizens that were graduates of Rosenwald School are going to be helping with some fundraising. And we've also already gone to the chamber to ask for some support for that sign, and they've approved $250 toward the sign. And I've asked the Historic Society, and I'm getting back with Miss Edith, and I've got to ask the town council. So I'm asking the commissioners if they could support it with $250, which would be the second marker that we have, because you all approved the other tourism sign for the Civil War. And if we don't have enough, we will be doing fundraising, because the last check on one of those signs is close to $2,000 for that steel historic sign as proposed from the State Historic Society, where I called to find out who the vendors were.
This is the black and silver sign you see across the state?
Yes. The goal is to try to get that sign up and do the homecoming for the county-wide, for people to come and celebrate the ones who graduated, and the fact that it is a historic building. And I'm hoping to try to get that done in the fall.
What was the last graduating year for that school?
I'd have to go get my notebook on that.
You say 250 is what?
Yeah.
Have we got, gentlemen, you want to make a motion that we support this?
Mr. Chairman, go ahead, Joe.
I make a motion, we find $250 and allocate towards this sign.
All right, we've got a motion, have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Thank you.
Okay, Reba.
If it was that easy, I'd ask you for more.
Travis don't think it was that easy.
Depends on how many zeros you have behind it.
Okay. And then the surplus equipment, I turned in my form. We have a computer printer that is is on its last leg. It stopped working. So we have to surplus it, and I submitted that paperwork for that approval.
Yeah, you have my recommendation in front of you. The printer was bought with county funds, the TV was bought with grant funds. I would ask that any sale, the printer proceeds come back to the county, and then the TV proceeds go back to the extension account. And if neither or both, or some combination, sell and don't sell, whatever doesn't sell, go into the electronics recycling program that Brad Gardner runs.
All right, gentlemen, you'll make a motion to approve the surplus of these pieces of equipment.
I'll make a motion that we approve the surplus equipment as stated by the county manager.
All right, we've got a motion, have a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, Reba,
Okay. Thank you.
three for three.
Not yet.
All right, next on the agenda, Ms. Morgan Jethro, is she here?
Morgan's at a conference out of town.
Okay.
This is more of an FYI to get you guys kind of primed to start looking at filling these positions. You should have a memo in your packet. You have 4 vacancies that are coming up on your Board of Adjustment, and you may want to start the process of soliciting individuals to serve.
Do we advertise that? At some point in time, I thought that
Well,
the
this
case,
is just being announced today.
Right.
And it will go on the website.
I think Cal, they have in the past have just put a little section out there of notifications rather than a formal ad. Is that something?
I think Calvin's saying, yeah, he can do that.
Thank you, Cal.
We'll run that.
And then Diane will put it on the website, and then at the July meeting, you can maybe get a little more formal with it.
Right.
Okay.
At the end of June, okay. All right. Next on the agenda, Timmy, see here? Let's take a break then.
I had no need, I'm gonna wait till later.
All right, next on our agenda, Timmy, will be here from the Water Department with some changes to our policy that we've put in place for the new budget year. I've got, we don't have no, we don't, we got one copy, he didn't get them made out, so y'all take a look at it. He's gonna go over it, I've just looked at it.
The rules and regulations, the copies that y'all have, all the language is correct in the front. The only thing that I changed, was actually the amendment page in the back, where it made it official by signing off by the board of those changes. The last meeting, we actually voted, and everything was approved. I just put it in our existing rules and regulations. Do you need me to go back over those changes, or?
Yeah, go back over them right quick while we're at it.
We had voted on the rate changes, on the first page, section 2. It's still $10 for the first 1,000 gallons, and it has increased from $2 for each additional 1,000 to $3 per 1,000.
So, Tim,
Yes, sir.
and I failed to ask that, what is the increased revenue stream from this change on current usage? If you went back and applied that to the current past fiscal year, how much more revenue would we have generated?
Give me a second. I'd have to go back and pull my gallons sold, but $1 per 1,000 gallons.
Right, so just a wild.
Roughly, Sandy's gone, I think it's around 600 and some thousand gallons.
So we
Well, let me rephrase that. That's pumped. You got to pull out any firefighting, fire training. You got to pull out any leaks. That's pumped from the
First 1,000
plant.
gallons also.
So meter would be
Yeah, probably
less.
the first 1,000 gallons also.
Yeah, and then also you have to subtract that first 1,000 gallons.
Can you calculate what the increased revenue stream is?
No, because I never run these numbers, because this come about after I had created my budget. So this is going to also entail going back and revisiting my budget with these changes coming into place as well.
Now, what I'd like to do is take the last 12-month billing,
Yes.
whatever those gallons are, and all you're doing is actually looking at the base rate and the extra rate above that. So now,
Actually, you'll have to pull the base rate out of this calculation,
right.
because the base rate does not
15,
change.
I understand that, but that's the 1,000 gallons.
Yes.
And then the extra gallons at the $1 rate will generate how much revenue?
Okay. Like I said, when I run my budget numbers for this coming up budget year, all those numbers were crunched, but that was off of the previous rate. We had not visited in depth as to what rate changes we were looking at and when they were looking to come in effect. I can look at those numbers. That shouldn't take me long at all to put those numbers
Just go ahead
together.
with the changes.
Okay. Also on the first page, section B, tap-on fees. As a convenience to commercial as well as residential, we have added an 1.5 inch service. It's a pricey service, but it has a great deal of flow versus the 1 inch, and it's almost comparable to a 2 inch meter. The reason we added that in is because any 2 inch service meter is considered an expansion to the distribution system. And it entails going to NC Diener and applying for an engineered design drawing. And it's a lot of hoops and a lot of added expense that will be placed on the meter applicant. And this gives an option to bypass that, not put as big of a damper on the system, as well as speed the process.
Is there one of those in place right now that you can refer to?
Yes, we have one commercial and one residential that's in place currently. One of them is for the Gates Custom Milling for their dye plant, where they're dyeing mulch now. And the other one is a residence off of Sawyer Road in the edge of Boontown. That was a significant ways off the road, and they also were looking to have livestock, as well as building a in-law suite on their house. Bless his soul. So they'd have 2 full families and livestock, and he made it a point that he wanted to be able to water the garden, water his livestock, take 3 showers, wash clothes and dishes, and not have to worry about water.
So that's an 1.5 inch meter in there?
That is an 1.5 inch meter.
All right.
All right. Flip over to the second page. At the top of the second page, we also added in the language for the impact fee, as in $1,000 per REU, and as a description, a REU is a residential equivalent unit, and one REU is equivalent to 4,000 gallons, which is the average household consumption per month. Of course, that will grow for commercial or sites that were expected to use 8,000 a month, et cetera. The REUs would change for that impact fee. Also, if you look on the second page, the start of section 3, part A, I've added in with their service will be supplied only to those who have made applicant and have paid the tap-on fee and impact fee in full. So that language, the impact fee, has been added to the application for service. All right. Now, if you will flip over to page 10. Page 10 is actually the amendment with all the changes that we've just discussed. That just makes it official and gives it a date where it's actually been adopted in and comes into play as far as the rules and regulations go. That's just for the Board of Commissioners and the chairman to sign off on and make it official. It's already been voted on last meeting, and this is just technicality.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Timmy.
You're welcome.
We have another issue we want to talk about, but I believe that would have to go through the process we went before,
What process?
public hearing and
This is not an ordinance, it's a policy,
Policy.
right?
Yes, this is a policy.
Yeah.
policy. Okay.
So rules and regulations
Right.
policy.
In addition to, let me see that paper. In addition to the changes we've just made, we had a discussion with our developer, and the way our policy is set up now, when we have to supply water to a customer that's across the street, it requires boring. And for residents, we will bore, the county bores and provide the water connection to the property of the recipient. But the way our current policy is written, it's kind of a gray area, and we've, in the past, have required a developer to come underneath, off of his property, come underneath the road and tap into our line. Well, that puts somewhat of a hardship on this particular developer. And in all fairness, we should be able to bring the water, as we do everyone else, across the road to the property, and then have the developer tie into our line and carry out the water distribution lines in accordance with the design plan. So I would ask under Section 8, Section 5, Section H, okay.
Section 5, Henry?
Section 5 talks about boring. H talks about boring.
It would be under section 5, you wouldn't now have an H.
Right.
It would identify boring.
All right, okay, all right. H, we've got a G, I guess, and we would have we'd make a statement that says borings. Is this the statement we want?
The top one.
Tom. Okay, under circumstances in which the county's distribution line is on the opposite side of a roadway of the consumer, the Gates County Public Works Department will be responsible for bringing the utility service to the side of the road of the consumer. Once service is on the same side of the roadway as the consumer, the applicable process will be followed in terms of bringing the service onto the private property of the customer. And the subdivision developer will install all lines within the development in accordance with the engineered drawings and approved by the county. So what this would do is what we do for everyone else. Make the water line accessible to their property, rather than them having to come across the right-of-way and come to our lines. And I would ask the board that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we update our policy to reflect this change, in addition to what's already been presented.
Okay, you made that as a motion?
Yeah.
All right, do I have a second for this motion?
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I think Timmy wanted to discuss before you
Yeah,
call that.
before you carry that, the
Well-
language that you presented there, I'd carry that language a little bit further as who the responsibility of the engineer design drawings for that bore and tap, because you're still looking at engineer design drawing and expense there for designing that tap. In this certain situation, it's an 8-inch bore and tap.
Okay.
You have to have engineered drawings, and I know they already have that in place to cover this incidence. But if you're gonna carry this and put this and adopt it in the rules and regulations for future, it needs to be verbally.
I think the thing to do is you go ahead and get that written up. I mean, and put
So
it in.
I haven't seen what was written up.
And what you're saying is, the developer has to get engineering designs to put his pipe down. Anything that's over, what, 2 inches or 2 inches or
greater.
over. So, and it normally includes the pipe that's gonna come across to the county, across the
That is
neck.
correct. That
So-
is a design build, engineer design drawing from tap to completion.
All right. Well, that's gonna be done anyway, so.
But not necessarily, because the way the amendment that you just read
Right.
made it sound like the county was gonna be responsible for the engineer design drawings for the bore and tap, and then the subdivider would be responsible from where we stop to supplying the rest of the subdivision. You're creating a lot of extra headache and hassle and time frame by trying to get two separate engineer design drawings, one for the tap, one for the project.
And I see what you're saying, and what we would wanna do is, when they do the engineer design for the developer or subdivider, go ahead and do the whole thing.
That is correct.
And from the county standpoint, we would just do the boring and
We
make
would
it-
absorb the cost for the boring and tap.
Right.
But it would be within their drawings. And
Right.
it's not gonna cost them any more to
Exactly.
submit that in plans.
Right.
But it's gonna speed up the process and eliminate a lot of headache.
I think you can word that where it won't change anything, it's just make sure
But
that their design.
Exactly,
drawing includes that.
it needs to be
Exactly.
spelled out crystal clear
Yeah.
as to what responsibility is gonna be.
I see no problem.
If I could make a suggestion here, if you're good with all the language except that one sentence, if the board would simply approve the new language to include a sentence to clarify what Timmy wants, we could all get what we need.
I don't see any problem with that.
Well, I'll update my amendment, my motion.
Well, we've already voted on your motion.
Okay.
Just make a motion that we include the language that the engineering would be part of the developers.
All right, the engineering design would include connection to the county's water system prior to boring.
Okay. All right, you make it as a motion.
Make that a motion.
Second.
A motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. That gives, you go ahead and write it up that we need, what we need on
Can I
that.
get a copy of what you started with?
We'll get it there.
All right, thank you.
All right. All right, now, we're moving into our old business section. Mr. County Manager has a couple of workforce development applications, I believe, that was asked by the Workforce Development Board to fill 2 vacancies in the Northeast Workforce Development Board.
Okay. And at your last meeting, this subject was discussed. As far as there being 2 vacancies on the Northeast Workforce Development Board, and you were solicited as to who you would like to fill these positions. We opened it up to the public, and the 2 names that were brought to us is Michael Douglas Leffler and Reverend Dr. Joseph Perry. You have their applications in front of you that should answer most of your questions regarding these individuals.
The board only appoints one of them, right?
Technically, the way, and Vice Chairman Jordan's going to have to maybe walk you through this a little better, but it's going to go from the chamber to the Albemarle Commission.
Right.
Albemarle Commission is going to
Actually,
certify them, and then they're going to come back to you for your final
It goes to
certification.
the Northeast Workforce
Right.
Board, that's the board I sit on, and we'll certify one of them, and the other one will be appointed by the commissioners here. I think that's right.
Well, the way it's set up, you have a private sector appointment and a community sector appointment. And both of those appointments have to fill out a workforce development application and submit it to workforce development. They will screen the application, they will go over it with you with the consortium, and then it will come back to the commissioners and we will approve it. So where we are today is we have two applicants. One for the private sector has to be approved by the business community, like the Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce has to say that we endorse this person because we believe that person has sufficient corporate knowledge to represent the business community, and we would like for workforce development to accept him. The community one would have to come through something like the Historical Society or the Housing Committee and say that this person is sufficiently knowledgeable of the needs of the community to represent us and maybe other entities, and we would like to have you approve him. So if we move forward with this, we're basically asking Diane to submit the workforce development application to the applicants, say fill them out, and they would be submitted back to Northeast Workforce Development Consortium.
And just to piggyback on what was just said, also, we would ask Diane to coordinate with the chamber to get their certification of their individual and the Historical Society to get their certification of their individual.
Basically, as commissioners, we just authorize the clerk to do that.
Yes.
We don't need to vote on that, I don't think, until it comes back to the board.
Yep.
Diane, will you take care of that?
That's the update on that position. I think that's all for me right now.
I think I've got a meeting this week, I'm not sure, I think it's Thursday
Well,
night.
I know the cha-
Workforce
I think it said
Consortium.
the 20, I thought
Sometime
it said
this
somewhere
month.
the 26th.
Yeah.
Historical Society meets on the 28th, and we need it prior to that.
Right.
And the chamber's meeting tomorrow night, I believe, and I'll bring that up for the chamber, so we should have theirs certified sometime tomorrow.
Okay, we'll move on forward again. New business, first, on the new business, Mr. Sterling Baker from the Division of Maintenance and Engineering, Gretchen Byram, a district engineer from DOT, here just to tell us what they're gonna do for the roads.
Clearly, I'm not Sterling, so he couldn't be with us
Okay.
today. It's been a pleasure to sit through the commissioners meeting. I don't get to do that often as a citizen.
Yeah, we don't hear that very often either.
As a citizen of Gates County, it's been interesting and enlightening, but I'm here today to present, well, first, before I get started, I have with me Ronnie Sawyer, who's the county maintenance engineer, and Robert Winslow, who is the supervisor for Gates County. He's your go-to man right there, Robert, so he hopefully keeps everybody happy around here.
Go-to man.
Yep,
He even
he's-
takes calls at home.
That's very good. Good to hear that. Less calls I get at home, so, and Ronnie too. As we stated, we were going to present the 2012-2013 secondary road program for Gates County. I'll tell you, like we've been telling all the other counties, legislature is cutting our budget in different areas. Resurfacing is probably going to be one of them, our contract resurfacing that we usually get. A percentage of that is probably going to be cut, as well as this program that we are presenting today. And what we have presented here is an estimate based on last year's funding. And it will probably be less than that. But what we will do is, once the budget is approved, we will present a program back to y'all. It won't be necessary to do a resolution. We will just present the actual funding of the projects. With that, our highway fund from last year was $235,250.10. The trust fund was $183,811.02, bringing a total of $419,061.12. We have under rural paving priority, Savage Road, which we are under contract with this project, and we are paving from SR 1302, which is Union Branch, to 1.7 miles east. previously funded $625,000. Estimated cost now is $675,000, so we need a $50,000 additional funds for that project. Down further on the page, there are no subdivision paving priorities. Item number 2 is our paved road improvements. We have Sandy Cross Road, widened and strengthened from 18 foot to 20, from NC 32 to 1002. The estimated cost for that is $650,000. We previously funded $485,000, and we need an additional $165,000 to complete that project.
If y'all do that, would y'all move the ditch over, and is there enough shoulder there to work with?
We're going to work with what existing shoulder we have. Yeah. And I believe we've already replaced all the cross lines on that road as well. So we're, and it may be under contract. If not, it's coming up this fall. Another item that we don't usually include on the program is pavement preservation activities on secondary roads. This is our road oil treatment. That budget is getting cut this year, so we had to supplement the funding through our secondary road programs, and we did that in every county. The next road is Acorn Hill Road. We're going to strengthen that road, and it's 20 foot wide. We're going from SR 1413 to US 158. The total estimated cost is previously, the total estimated cost is $645,000. We previously have funded $375,000 and need an additional $50,000. Plus, in our alternates, we are going to complete that funding of $220,000 for Acorn Hill Road. The alternates means if some funds, extra funds become available, that we will move towards those funds, but as I told you earlier, we probably will get cut and we won't even be able to complete the funding of the paved road improvement projects.
Gretchen, can I ask a question about
Sure.
that one? I see it was previously funded at $375,000. How long ago was that funded? I mean, just
It's on our, I don't have it where we, actually, the board was approved.
the reason I was asking is when it was previously funded at $375,000, was that 100% of the cost?
No,
Okay.
no.
I was wondering if it had increased
No.
that much. Okay.
And some of the reasons why we have to go back and include extra cost is with the gas prices this year and going to contract, the asphalt costs have gone up substantially. So we've needed additional costs for those as well.
When you're doing the pipe replacement, does that fall into this, or is that a different, so you've actually, I know Acorn Hills had the pipe replaced, so that's,
Yeah, they just, I believe.
yeah, they haven't all finished that one, so that's part of the whole project. Okay.
Correct. Also on the alternate list, we have Willington Road, which is widened and strengthened from 18 to 20 feet. From SR 1303 to 1300. The total estimated cost is $350,000 for that section. Move on to section C, which is the unpaved road spot improvements. We're allotting $75,000, and that's to treat your unpaved roads, grade them with stone, put some stone down, that sort of thing. And in item 4, funds reserved for surveying, right-of-way acquisition, road additions, contingencies, etc. We're reserving $29,061.12 and brings a grand total of $419,061.12. Now, on the next page, you'll have status of previously funded projects. These are the projects that have been previously funded through secondary roads. And the statuses of those. As you see, Acorn Hill Road and Sandy Cross Road, Savage Road are all under contract. Reynoldston Road is complete. In the next few pages, we have a list of the rural hold list for the unpaved roads and the subdivision hold list for the unpaved roads. We have no roads on the subdivision list or rural list that are up for paving. All the rest are on hold due to unavailable right-of-way. That's the program. I will entertain any questions that y'all may have, any other questions that y'all may have with regards to
How about a suggestion? Would you entertain a suggestion?
Sure.
On the way back to Robert's office, when you're going out of Gatesville here,
158?
yeah, 158
It's
business.
cracked. Yeah,
Wow.
that's under, for this year or 2013? Is it on contract, you know? Okay, yeah, we have already submitted it for a contract, but again, that's resurfacing money.
Yeah, okay.
So that could possibly get cut. I don't know at this point. We've moved forward with it. So that is going to eventually, if not this year, next year, get resurfaced.
That's a rough section.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I agree. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, when are they gonna start working on 13 on this side of the river? Have you got any idea? on
I
that?
was afraid somebody was going to ask me that, and I should
So-
have called and asked the update about that. That is a design build project, and it's being handled out of our Hosky office. And I'm not sure, I know, Ronnie, you've had a conversation with him, he wasn't aware of when they may start. Okay.
I noticed they're on the 158 out towards Muffinsboro, they're working on moving border lines and
What
power
I'll do
lines and
is
everything.
I'll find out after that time, and I'll send y'all.
Contact someone, let one of us know. Just
Take
give us an
email.
idea.
Ronnie, I believe that they set their offices up, the mobile offices. I believe they set those up this week
Or they at Tar Heel?
beside the Tar Heel.
Oh, okay. Progress. Yeah, so we got
Good.
different pot of money, so we won't have to spend our maintenance money repairing it. It'll be under contract for construction, so they can be responsible.
There's a second part to that question. I've gotten some inquiries myself. The portion from 13 through the Dismal Swamp, I know it's not funded yet, and but the design is already out there, and you know, I'm sure there's other things you have to do as far as preparation for starting, but everything's been identified. Do you have any feel of when the state may approve the funding for the, and it wasn't in this year's budget, it probably won't be in next year's budget, but, you know, based on public pressure and the desire to have that widened, do you have any idea of, and I know it's something way out there, but, you know, next 5 years, you know, a lot of people are concerned because it's going to affect the homes and so forth through this area.
That's understood.
And I, you know, my answer is, you know, it's not funded this year. I won't be funded next year, but I don't know what's going to happen the year after.
Yeah, we had a public hearing probably about a year ago, and they presented the different alternatives through the Sunbury area on that project.
They haven't actually decided on it.
But
either.
they have not even started design on that. They don't even know where they're putting it. I mean, that hasn't even been determined. Environmental
So they may
studies have to
reroute
be
it.
made.
If you,
Yeah, I mean, there's like 4 or 5 alternatives, so
if you had to make a guess, would you say at least 5 years down the road?
at least.
All right.
I'll tell you this, I got 9 more years with
You
the
tell them
state.
Gretchen said so.
I'll be surprised to see it before I retire,
All right.
honestly, but because of the funding situation and so forth.
All right, we need to act on the resolution
I have
for the,
one question,
all right, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman. On the Savage Road, where that comes down in that real sharp 90-degree turn, is that gonna be taken out?
No,
No, we couldn't get right away there.
You couldn't get it out?
they're just paving the other end of it.
We're just serving the homes.
Okay.
So
okay.
each
So you're not gonna
end-
do the whole thing again?
No, sir.
Okay.
Did and this is hearsay, did the 13 project come from reappropriation of federal money from the Bonner Bridge? Do you know that? Have you
I
heard
do
that?
not know that.
Okay.
I can check on that for you.
Well,
but I
I'm
do
just
not know.
curious. I've gotten that from 2 sources, and I was just curious.
I'm not privy to that information, so.
Or maybe I shouldn't have been. I don't know.
All right, we have the resolution for the approval of a secondary road improvement program as presented by Ms. Gretchen. I have a motion to accept this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Gretchen. Appreciate it. Next on the agenda for new business is Mr. Brad Gardner from our solid waste. Hey, Brad, how you doing, bud?
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. We'll talk about water, roads, and then the lovely
Trash.
world of trash. My name's Brad Gardner. I work as the site supervisor for the 4 drop-off sites here in Gates County, as well as in Perquimans and Chowan, and then our transfer station in Belvedere. And what I'm here today to talk about is the 3-year update to the 10-year solid waste plan. Some of you may remember approving this back in 2009. It's in fulfillment with the North Carolina General Statute 130A-309-09A, parentheses B. But basically, it's so that we stay in compliance with the North Carolina Department of Environmental and Natural Resources. I submitted this draft about a month ago to Ms. Diane, and we've been kind of working, tweaking on it. There's not a whole lot of changes to it, so I figured in 10 minutes or less, I'll give you some of the highlights to it and then ask for any questions. Just a snapshot of it, Gates County made roughly 4,582 tons of trash last year in 2011. If you're a green person or environmentalist, you'd probably be glad to hear this. It's down 15% from 3 years ago when it was about 5,500 tons. Give you some idea what that is, what 4,500 tons of trash look like. That's about 229 tractor trailers. It all goes, it costs $66 a ton. And does anybody want to guess where the trash compactors at those sites or at the curbside in Gatesville ultimately go?
Bertie?
Very good, very good. Yeah. All of it goes over to a regional landfill in Bertie County.
How far is that from being full at this point in time? And what's the next site chosen?
They have about 1,000 acres over there, which about a quarter of it's the actual footprint, and they estimate now that trash is down nationally, statewide, and regionally it's got about 30 years left at the rate we're going. So they collect from 100-mile radius, us, the Outer Banks, Roanoke Rapids, Pitt County, Hyde, and Terrell County. So that's the snapshot of waste. On the recycling end, Gates County is generating 446 tons of recyclables last year. If you look at all the 100 counties in North Carolina, that places us at 61st in the state. I don't think that's a bad thing. We're a pretty rural community to begin with, county, and it's all self-reported. So Catawba County, Dare County, Pitt County were some of the top 5 ones, and they have more commercial and industrial base. So we are pretty ahead of the curve. Gatesville has a recycling cart program that rolled out in late 2009, 2010. Willie Hoffler and his crew at the school system has a cart program and are actively collecting electronics, fluorescent light bulbs, and doing a good job both at the county and the municipal level there. Basically, in the last 3 years, some of the new things that we've added here at the drop-off sites, we have started e-waste collection. This is no charge to us. The vendors collect it from they come out of Raleigh to pick up the stuff in Belvedere, and we have that one 16-foot trailer that makes a 3-month cycle amongst all the 4 counties, 4 sites I'm talking other counties right now, between Hobbsville, Sunbury, Gates, and Reduco. So right now it's up at Gates site. We feel it's the fairest way, to collect stuff from around the community, and plus people aren't throwing e-waste out every week like regular trash. And that trailer was purchased with grant funding in 2010. And to date, we've got over about 20 tons of electronics. I think it's been successful with the trade out of old cathode ray TVs to digital flat screens. Other program we started here last year is the grease collections. Sounds nasty, but there's actually a market for fryer oil. They call it UFO collection, used fryer oils. It can be peanut oil, vegetable oil, but we get paid about 3 pennies a gallon for that. Not making a whole lot of money, but it's no cost to the citizens, and it's usually popular this time of year in the summer. So, other thing we're working with is Barnhill of Elizabeth City. Talking about roads earlier, they've actively want old asphalt shingles. You'd be surprised, that's a pretty big chunk of the tonnage of waste is tear-offs of old roofs, especially hurricane season coming up. But they will take all asphalt shingles with the nails, the felt, the staples at their site on 17 South in Elizabeth City. And so we've talked to some of our big roofers about that. And then the last thing is we also collect used oil filters at all the drop-off sites, as well as have replaced the used oil drums, those yellow double-walled containers out there. So, we're chugging along as best as we can. I know it's a 60-page document. One of the changes we did this year is we separated the counties. We used to combine the solid waste plan, since we're a 3-county solid waste authority, into Perquimans, Chowan, Gates, and we just made a Gates plan. And it's a little easier on your part as well as at the state. When they would see PCG, they'd sometimes leave out Chowan or Gates and think that an individual county didn't turn in their documentation. But that pretty much covers what we're doing as a department in the last 3 years as far as updates in it. Are there any questions?
I have a question about the asphalt shingles. You said on the oil, they'll pay us 3 cents per gallon?
For the fryer oil, the vegetable
Right.
oil?
Mhm.
Yep.
How about the shingles? You said that they'll take them. Do they take them, or will they purchase them?
They won't buy them from you. They'll just take, whether it's a pickup truck, a mom and pop bringing them to them, or a big contractor with the dump truck load. Karen Brooks is the contact, or Danny Glover with Barnhill. But
So we don't have a separate dumpster where we're separating that at our sites, though?
not at this point. If they bring them out to our drop-off sites, a homeowner, then they're going to end up in the trash. Yeah, they have to be segregated out of.
You'll have a place over there at Belvedere where they can dump separate them?
We're working on maybe a future grant to get a bunker-style system where people could dump loads, and Barnhill will come and take them off your hands for you.
That'd be pretty interesting to do that.
Yeah. I think another thing I should have touched on was the used tire collection. Your vendors like Dixie Auto or Tom Perry, they will bring tires to us regularly, but individuals with used tires, we used to have a tire collection dumpster at each site, and the state, in the downturn with the budget, has curtailed that. They want, in order to get the used tire fee that you pay, it's a 2% tax when you buy a new tire. In order to get it back to the county, you've got to provide a weight, an address, and a name. And when we collect them from Joe Blow or Mr. Smith from the site, then we're on our own to pay for the disposal of those tires. So we're requiring individuals to bring them Monday through Friday to the Belvedere transfer station, and we'll take them free of charge there. But there is, if you're in Reduco, there's a 30-mile drive, half a day or so. But if it's a blowout or a tire tube, a lawnmower tire, bicycle tire, those can go in the garbage, but not a whole automobile tire. So sorry to, I'll keep you posted if those rules change, but right now Diener will only allow us to get reimbursed for charges we can prove.
Okay. Any questions for Brad? Do we need to vote to accept this plan? Is that?
You should have a resolution in your
Right.
folder.
Okay.
I'm talking to Gatesville tonight, and then we're going to try to turn in this, I'll have a finished draft to Toby and Diane by July, but we have to turn it in July to
Brad, just for my own clarification, in several parts in here, it references things that we've already done. Is
Right.
it- Oh, we need to just look at the highlighted part as the new part and just accept everything else as what we previously did?
Yep.
Okay, just so I was clear on that, thanks.
Sure, sure.
All right, we have a resolution here to approve the Clemens County Gates PETA, which is the PCG 10-year solid waste management plan update for July 1st, 2012 to July 30th, 2022. That's a long time away. Do we have a motion to approve this waste management plan update?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the resolution. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brad. Appreciate you coming. All right. Next on our agenda, Mr. Billy Presley from the chairman of the DSS board.
Gentlemen
Hello there.
and ladies,
Mr. Presley, how are you?
I'd like to make a motion. that-
Knock yourself out.
That we have lunch brought in from Barron's Grill, and Cal Bryant has agreed to pay for it.
I second that.
I think you guys have a letter as to why I'm here. The almost honorable John Horo will be going off the DSS board June 30th, I believe it is. The present DSS board would like to recommend that he be reappointed. Not only that, but John has expressed an interest in serving once again. He's been an invaluable asset to the board, and I really think it's good that we have Henry as well on the board, because it provides a conduit between the two boards. I think that's very, very helpful. So I'm hoping that the commissioners will appoint John to serve once again. We don't act on that today, do we?
We can.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
on the recommendation of Mr. Billy Presley
And the board.
and the board, I would like to make a motion to continue John Hoare's appointment on the DSS board.
I think you need a reappointment.
Reappoint? Okay. Correct that to reappoint, and that's my motion.
All right, we've got a motion to reappoint Mr. John Hoare to the DSS board. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, you got your wish.
Thank
You
you
didn't
very
get
much.
lunch, but you got your wish.
But one more thing, I've been away for 3 weeks. I'm having a grass cutting contest at my house at 4 this afternoon.
I load my
Everybody-
mower up, I'll be right there.
I thought we did that last month, Mr. President.
You got lunch, you got snacks and stuff, Billy? You got snacks and stuff this afternoon? Okay. All right, the next on our agenda. Travis, that's you, bud. How are you?
Good afternoon, Travis.
How y'all doing today?
How you doing, Travis?
Okay, good. Appreciate the opportunity to be here with you, and I guess Brad was talking trash, so I'm going to talk about agriculture and education here for the citizens of Gates County. Very similar, because I know a lot of partnerships here exist between the, I guess he said the PGC or Perquimans, Gates, and Chowan. So I just wanted to point out that I appreciate the citizens coming and to talk about and voice their usage and the things that they've done in terms of using the extension service, and Mr. Askew and Ms. Ewer and Mr. Morgan. So I appreciate them doing that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just mention a couple of things, and then I also appreciate my colleagues coming. I have Tim Smith, who's the county director in Chowan County, and then, of course, Reba, and then Paul and some of the others who've been here earlier. But I just wanted to just mention that here at Gates County, this is a really This is sort of like a bedroom community for Suffolk, and we're right here in the heartland of agriculture. And I think this position we're speaking about, Marjorie Rayburn's old position, and we have had this partnership with this position since 1986, I believe. So we're going on about 26 years. So we really appreciate the support we've gotten, and sort of the way the partnership works. Just so you all really understand, is the livestock position is housed in Paquammons County. The home horticulture position is housed in Chowan County, and then this county will house the commercial hort position. And working with farmers and working with people who, want to generate revenue for agriculture. And I will say that particularly now, being here in Gates County, and in a lot of the counties in my region down in the Northeast, basically agriculture is kind of what's holding things together in terms of the economy. We look around in other parts of the state, they don't have the agricultural sector as strong as it is down here. And right now, the revenue that's generated from that sector is kind of what's helping to stabilize the economies in this region. But all we want to talk about today is just wanted to mention that the position, we've sort of changed it a little bit. It will encompass forestry as well as water quality, and then the main and then key component is the commercial hort component. And so we've already done some things. Matter of fact, I'll ask Tim to come up now. And this is something that has just recently been done out at Merchants Mill Pond. And I'll let Tim take a second and sort of share that with you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank y'all for having us this morning.
You want us to jack that up a little bit to get up there where you're at?
Sure thing. Like Dr. Burke said, I'm Tim Smith, the Director of Extension in Chowan County, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the partnership between the three counties. Our office houses the home horticulture agent. Her name is Katie Shook. She's been with us for 9 years, and a part of what she does is she manages the Master Gardener Volunteer Program. So we get volunteers from Gates County, Paquammons County, and Chowan County. They're trained in horticulture by Katie, and then they do projects. Part of their service as volunteers is they 20 hours a year they volunteer doing various projects in the three counties. So not all those volunteers are from Gates County. They're from the three counties, but they do projects in all three counties. And one project that I wanted to highlight to y'all is what Katie has, or what the Master Gardener volunteers did out at Merchants Mill Pond State Park. They created a rain garden which manages the runoff from the pavement there, transforming it sort of from a big or a mud hole to a rain garden that filters the groundwater or the runoff and lets it go down to the groundwater. It sort of follows along with the environmental stewardship theme of the mill pond, and that's something that's been done within the last 2 years. Also, she handles calls from citizens in Gates County, sort of similar to what Rick was references from the livestock agent in Paquammons County. She counsels people on shrub, lawn, tree problems, and it's been a very good partnership that I'm happy that we have for us in the three counties. So that's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, before I ask Reba to come up, I just wanted to mention that right now the partnership from in Paquammons and Chowan counties, they're roughly contributing around 36% between the two of them. One is like 40, and then the other is like 34%, give or take. So I just wanted to mention that, and we basically want to maybe increase the percentage so that it'll be a little fair for across three counties at 30%. So what we'd like to do is, it's not any additional money, but we'll just sort of discuss how we are going to get in a little more details here with Reba. She's going to talk about the percentage and that type thing, and a couple of things too from the former position and that type thing. So.
Good afternoon. As they said before, the position, this was one of the first regional positions we've had in extension, started in 1986, and it has been a strong partnership between the 3 counties. And what we're asking today is that Gates County pay their fair share on a percentage match with the agent that we want to hire here in the county. You are currently at 24%, which is lowest in the district and lowest between the 3 that we provide services for here. The position has been vacant for 2.5 years, and what I've shared with you is your salary savings that you have acquired over those 2.5 years for not having a person in place, but you still reap the benefits of the 2 other agents coming and serving Gates County without having to pay any funds at all. And so now that we're trying to get a person in position and we've had our interviews, we're proposing that salary that you see there, and we're asking you to up your percentage to 30%. Well, according to what I was told, we have that amount in the budget under current budget fiscal year 2012, which is a difference of the $888 is what you're talking about paying out every year. But basically, if you were dealing with 24% versus 30% of the portion you would pay, it's a $2,100 difference just looking at the percentages. So we're asking that Gates County pay their fair share to support these 3 positions so that we can continue having the input from the other 2 agents, because if we're unable to fill the positions, then this position, then you lose the 3 for paying for 1. So you have a livestock agent that would no longer provide services here, nor a home horticulture agent to provide services that you get for free, basically, because you're supporting the commercial hort. Other things that have been done with this position is water quality is an area that is continually being impacting Gates County, and it influences our farming and forestry practices, recreational, fishery, and home landscaping. This position does educational workshops and programs in those areas, covering Gates, Chowan, and Paquimins, which is your Chowan River Basin and your Pasquotank River Basin. Also, forestry is a huge economic income for our county, and this person that we are going to hire will help some of our homeowners in making those decisions on what to do with their forest lands to help manage it a little bit better. In addition to that, we had the opportunity to apply for a grant from the Rural Center that had new monies out for economic development, looking at how we could increase jobs, which we, in working with Toby, it could have been an opportunity for a farm-to-fork market, looking at increasing markets for our producers. But at that time, we did not apply because you needed manpower to oversee pulling together the resources to apply for that grant. This position would have been that person that could have helped and possibly bring in a $100,000 grant to the county. And talking with the Rural Center, they were real excited about that idea, but of course, we did not have a person in that position to be able to provide the manpower for that. In addition, your lovely shrubs out here, along with the Cooperative Extension Landscaping, those were your master volunteers with a grant I wrote to get those free azaleas, so you got some landscaping that impacted you right away, even though Brinkley did the front of the office here. They did our front and back of the extension service. So this position is crucial in the Tri-County partnership. I think it's only fair that Gates County pay their fair share. And like Travis said, we are not asking for 35 or 40%. We're simply asking to up it to 30. And as you can see at the bottom, you're still saving money because you're not going to be paying this person as much as Marjorie was making, because she was at the high end with her years of tenure and education, and she retired. So you still have a huge salary savings by increasing it to 30% versus 24%.
Any questions?
Gentlemen?
So we currently have the funds in the budget to take care of this. So,
Well, no.
Oh.
No,
Yeah,
no.
they're there. Okay,
No.
next.
Let me ask you a question on that, Rita. Was this funded in our prior budgets and then not filled?
It was funded in our prior budgets up to last year. I did request that we leave those funds in there.
That was the at 24%, right?
With understanding put back when we decide on getting somebody hired. And then this budget year, I asked that they leave that amount that originally was in there until we got all this negotiation straight. And it was changed to a lesser amount, which means it's not enough money in the budget now for what we're asking, which is under that requested budget line.
So it was budgeted at 30% for 2 years, is that what you're saying?
It was at 24%.
Oh, it was budgeted at 24% all along. And
Never filled.
now it's for this new year, we still got 24% in the budget, right?
Not based on the salary we're trying to offer.
Oh, you're talking about based on a different
The
salary.
salary we're trying to offer is at 24% what they have in the
Yes.
budget now.
Yes.
We have asked that it be at 30%, which if the amount of money that I had asked to be left in the budget originally, it would have been enough money, and you still would have had salary savings.
So if it was a 40,000 job, it's $2,400 more dollars.
It's not gonna be that much.
Well, 6% of 40,000 would be 2,400.
It's gonna be, well, I don't wanna say the salary, but it's
Well,
the second line, right?
Well, but that is the assumption what you're saying.
the years that we did not use the salary funds, were we able to roll that over into fund balance?
It just went back to the general fund.
The general?
To me, the one, and we've had this discussion privately, so we'll have it again publicly now. The issue and the question that's, to me, that wasn't asked or answered was, if we do not go from 24 to 30%, will this position be filled? Can we remain at 24% and this position still be filled?
Probably, I don't know.
Okay. So if the commissioners do not make this move, they will still more than likely have this position.
I don't know, I got it.
Administration over Travis takes that call, and they're wanting us to at least have comparable percentages, and this is a tri-county agreement partnership.
Right, but we're talking about the percentages that we pay, and the state is picking up the rest. So what we're negotiating is how much of this position Gates County chooses to pay versus what the state pays.
Well, just
And-
for the record, a lot of the new positions we're filling now, we want 50%.
Right, which this is, to me, seems to be more of a negotiation between the county and the state, not the worthiness of the position. I don't think anyone's questioning whether the position is needed or not. I think the issue is, why would we voluntarily pay 6% more for a position than we paid historically?
Because the other two counties have upped their percentage of their positions, and it's only fair for us to be a part.
Which sounds like a bad negotiation on their part, to be honest with you. I mean, not to be coy about it, I mean, why would we voluntarily pay 6% more for a position that you cannot say won't be filled? Now, if you were saying it won't be filled if you don't raise that, that to me would be a separate issue. But if you can't say that, yeah, but it may be, so you can't say. That's my issue, Commissioners, is why would we voluntarily pay for 6% for a position?
There again, what is the standard deviation that we're talking about here? It don't look to me like it's a lot of money.
It is.
Can anybody, well.
If it's $5,
why
why
don't
would we
put a number
voluntarily
on
pay
that?
$5 more?
I thought you put a number on it earlier. Was it 2,100?
It's right there, it's on your sheet, the annual salary, what the difference is from what you budgeted to what we're asking, which is under $1,000.
Are we talking
Okay.
about?
What is the population of Clemens County?
About 14.
14,000. All right, Chowan County is what, 22,000?
No, 16 or so? Yeah.
16, so Gates County is 12.5. So we're not basing it on per capita ratio. It just kind of sounds like Clemens decided 40%. I mean, is there any rhyme or reason to that? Why?
Because the same, as I mentioned, most of the positions, see, a lot of these people that were in these positions, they recently retired. And so what we're doing is when people retire, we're trying to increase the county portions because the state is putting in
to decrease the state portion.
Well, and without having to ask you all for additional money, because you were already paying that money up front, just like with Marjorie's position, you were already paying that amount at the beginning. And so when we asked to up the percentage, it's not asking you for any more money, you've already budgeted.
Not up front, but down the line. in
Not
terms
this
of
year,
career, it will
but every
increase.
year, we're not paying $1,000, we'll just call it one time, we're paying $1,000 every year additional. And you also have to factor in FICA and retirement, which are also gonna be affected in this, so it's not exclusively salary.
But you were already paying that and more.
Right, so why would we voluntarily pay more? I'll get back to my original question.
Yeah, this is, I mean, this is a somewhat of a negotiation type thing, and I mean, I want us to pay our fair share, but I made some notes over here. You know, a little earlier I saw Reva's justification, the word justification at the top, so I wrote down what's justification for staying at 24%, and things like these other two counties have a greater tax base to pull from. These other counties, they have a greater tax base to pull from as far as revenue. They have a greater tax base. I think they have more farmers. We're down to a limited number of farmers. They have more developed potential. So I have a debate on my side too. However, I respect Reggie Askew and Rick Morgan's comments here. And I do want to pay our fair share, but we are talking about dollars and cents. So I don't want to just roll over and say, oh, you want more money, here's more money. But I would think that it would be a number on here, an exact number. I mean, is it $888? It's $888. Okay, let's vote.
Well, Jack, and I'm like you on this. I mean, we're willing to hire another DSS employee at $20,000, and there's no generation income over there at all. But our farmers are generating income in the county and generating taxes. And I have no problem myself with doing this. I'm against hiring another employee at the DSS. I can tell you that up front. But I'm not against doing this to make sure we've got our farmers the best quality people here. I will vote against the budget because of the fact that we got the DSS, but I do support this position myself. That's my opinion. But when I vote against the budget, it won't be because of this. I can promise you that.
The other thing, Jackie, in response to your saying less farmers, this position also works with non-ag communities, also with water quality issues, and we'll be doing more forestry this time. So it's not just only the farmers that they will have in programming for.
Well, we have two farmers, and I know that I can tell you the two farmers who came and spoke on behalf of this position. They are farmers that get out there and work hard themselves, and they're both real budget guys in their own operations. I know that for a fact, and if they say they need it, I believe they need it. Mr. Chairman.
Kenny, you got any input on it?
I certainly support the, and see the need for that position. I think the $888 is very cheap when it comes right down to it to help get that position at 30%. I think 30% is a whole lot better than 100% if it's coming out of your pocket, and it's gonna support the farmers and anyone else that needs those things. I'm not a farmer, but I have a little bit of land that has some forestry service. When I go to the forestry service here, I got to pay for their service. So I'm in support of this if the money is there.
The only thing we gotta do is find it, right?
Yes. I'd also ask that if you choose to go to 30%, that you decide if this is going to be exclusive to this position or if this is going to be the new percentages that we pay for further positions. Because as positions vacate, we'll be having the same discussion again, just like we had it 2 years ago when you chose not to increase the percentage.
But I will say that, again, the 24 was the lowest percentage in the district.
Yeah, we understand that, so
And
that,
then, and now, the next time, I mean, if we go to 30% here, I don't foresee coming back every time. Looking at the rest of your positions, that we have an extension here, that was the lowest percentage, and I don't.
well, then, what is the percentage on any other 50%? I mean, for us, that we pay.
34, and then the A&T one, I think is at 50. 46. It's supposed to be at 50. And this was the only one left that was under that amount, I believe.
Of agents.
Of
The
agents.
secretaries are still under 30.
Under 30.
Well, it's,
Not yet.
it's
Okay.
like.
Anybody want to make a motion?
You actually had to look at the big picture here. I mean, obviously, from the standpoint of reference to the people that were talking about this position and whatever, all taxpayers evaluate the services that they get. No taxpayer minds paying money out when they know that they're getting a service for it. And I think that's what those gentlemen were saying there, and I likewise. If I feel I'm getting my dollar's worth out of anything, I don't mind paying for it. You just hate to see waste when there's waste in the system. And obviously, we're not talking a lot of money here. It could be ongoing for whatever. But all taxpayers stand up to the plate when they know they're getting the kind of service that they desire and they look for. So I'm wholeheartedly in support of this. I mean, we're not talking about a lot of money here. And if you go back and look at it there again on the big picture of things, this is very minute. Now, the argument's been made. Several people said that they deserve it and they want it. Well, I'm not going to use it. But those two people that were up here, I associate with them. They have a need for it, and it's just like the situation, we help each other out, and that's what it's about. Because there's some things they don't use that I do use. So I appreciate that. So it's all about the big picture, and I'm all for this.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we increase the percentage of the county's contribution for the horticultural agent to 30%
I second that motion.
for this position.
Have you got, how do you want this to be increased on our budget?
Well, we'll find the $888.
Out of the $3 million.
Somewhere. We ought to get that.
It's in there somewhere.
That's right.
I love that plan.
That's right.
All right, we've got a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. God love us all.
I guess Toby did have a question about future positions.
No, this motion was for only this position.
Just this
what I heard.
position.
Okay.
No, you had a question, I didn't know if y'all were going to answer that.
And I think they already answered
need a
it.
motion.
They said it was this
Actually,
position
this
only.
position. Next year, you gotta deal with another group.
Right. Thank you.
All right. Let's see. All right, next on the agenda, Mr. Chappell, our county manager, will discuss some sidewalk issues with the city, about the town of Gatesville and our area.
Yeah. My office has been contacted by the town. They have some PAL bill money that they need to spend. PAL bill money is money that you get for road maintenance exclusively and can only be used for that. They have some money they'd like to spend and ask, does the board have any suggestions on what they spend in the town? My recommendation is that we talk about installing a sidewalk directly in front of the administrative building. Our employees have to come out of the courthouse and walk across the parking lot and then walk in the street, in essence, to get to the first sidewalk in front of the extension building. I would recommend that you consider putting a new sidewalk in front of the administrative building as the use of that money.
How much money do they have, Toby, do you know?
I don't know, I haven't met with them, I'm meeting with them tonight.
Do they have enough when they come out in front to bring it back to the sidewalk here in front of the courthouse?
I don't know, but I'll ask.
You
I
know
understand
what,
what
you
you're
know
saying.
what I'm talking about, when
Yeah.
it comes across the front and then bring it back to the sidewalk at the corner of the.
Right.
Out here.
Yes, absolutely.
I'd like to see both done.
Okay. Also, what I'd like for them to do is the island where our pay drop box is, and I think you and I have had this discussion, is to make that north side a no parking side.
Right.
And have that restriped and painted, and then have them install 2-hour parking signs in front of the administrative building and the extension building. So that is the plan of what I'd like to propose to them tonight, and I'd like to have your input and endorsement of the plan.
I'm good with it.
Jack?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Johnny? Henry?
I have no problem with it.
Knock yourself out.
All right? If you don't mind, will you take that as a
Okay.
vote?
You want to make a motion on that?
So move.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Thank you very much. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, the last on our new business, on July the 4th is our scheduled commissioner meeting, which is a holiday. We need to determine, do we move the meeting? We also have an evening meeting, actually on Monday, which will be about a week and a half away. We could actually cancel the 4th meeting and leave it open and handle all the business on the evening meeting, if that would be the pleasure of the board. That being the 4th of July week, there's a lot of vacations and stuff for the county employees.
So you have one night meeting on the 16th is what you're proposing?
Yeah, just have one night meeting on the 16th would be my proposal, just to save time. And if we move it to the next week, then we'll have another one on the Monday right after that. And then less than 2 weeks later, we'll have another Wednesday meeting, which will be on the 1st of August. So I would propose that we just move the first meeting to the night meeting and just have one meeting in July.
Mr. Chairman, I would just have one addition to that. I would like to see that meeting at 6 o'clock instead of 7, because we're going to have quite a bit more business, and the meeting is going to be a little longer. And
That's a good idea. And if we have any kind of, at this point, if we need to go into having a closed session, we'll even maybe move it in another hour earlier to do any closed session earlier. We'll know more about it as the business comes in. Any other input over that?
So the recommendation is?
That's a recommendation.
Okay, give it to us date.
The recommendation would be for us to come, to have to not have the 1st of July meeting and have one meeting in July on the 16th and start at 6 o'clock that evening.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
All right. Do I have a motion that we do this?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. You'll get the notices up. All right, the next thing on our agenda, we've got citizens' comments. Got one, I noticed at least one up there. We got to you, Don. She signed something. I'll give it to her. At the bottom. Okay. All right, Donna.
First of all, I want to thank you guys so very much for allowing me to somewhat explain my situation to you.
Donna, would you give your name and where you're from so she can get it in the minutes?
Donna Miller, and I'm from Gates Forest Road.
Okay.
Sent an email to each one of the board members explaining what my situation is. I need to apply for a variance and a special use permit from the Board of Adjustments. I received an email last week from Morgan Jethro stating that the fees of this would be $1,750. I have health issues, therefore my only means of income is the Social Security disability that I draw. Due to circumstances beyond my control, I cannot afford to pay the fees. So I'm asking this board, if you will please, waive these fees so I can apply for this. Mr. Jordan, I especially want to thank you. You have been right there for me. You have answered every one of my questions, and you've taken me in the right direction. You have proved to me that the citizens of Gates County, you're concerned. And I do appreciate everything you've done. Also, I want to say, apologize for jumping up here for the sheriff. That's another thing that's close to my heart. I never knew how much and how important our sheriff's department is until I became a victim of a violent crime. And I cannot tell you the way that they have treated me. They have called me. They have come to the house and checked on me. They have been marvelous. So, and I will not let anybody say anything wrong about him because I know what they did for me. So, I mean, I just think they deserve every bit of money you can give them. That's it, but thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller.
Mr. Chairman, if you will, I did respond to Ms. Miller in regards to her request for assistance from the commissioners. And as I pointed out, the only assistance that we could give would be possible to waive the fee to go to the Board of Adjustments, which was $600. The additional fees that Morgan Jeffrey was talking about is something that would be in addition. Once the Board of Adjustment moved forward, there could be additional fees that may be incurred. But, you know, having looking at the situation, I feel that it's worthy of the Board of Adjustment reviewing, first of all, because if you'll observe, the request would be to put a single-family, single-wide mobile home on the property behind her father's, which was, there was a trail at one time back there.
Yes, sir.
And there was a hookup. And I do want to point out that our zoning ordinance was set up where we zone every property almost in Gates County residential. And I took a ride down Gates Forest Road, and from my observation, and you may correct me, Ms. Miller, just about every home I saw on Gates Forest Road was a double wide.
Yes, sir. I think there's only one stick-built house back there.
Right. And I didn't see that. That must have been up a what? Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So-
Mr. Pulley's house, right?
Yes. Fully,
Mr.
yes.
Pulley.
Right. So this is a classic example of a misnomer in our zoning ordinance. All of these homes on Gates Forest Road, except one, which I couldn't see from the road, as I said, is a double wide, and maybe a single wide or so in there. And so I think the Board of Adjustments would consider this. Like I said, the existing septic tank was set up where it could accommodate two families. There's a water connection apparently there for the single wide. And I would ask the board to go along with me in voting to waive the fee for Ms. Miller to go before the Board of Adjustments based on the hardship of her situation. And I'll make that a motion.
Well, and Henry, I agree with you. I talked to her first. I think she contacted me first, and when I got back to her, she'd already contacted you. Did you get my email back? I emailed you back that day sometime or another, and I was talking to Morgan.
The day that I talked to you on the phone, you said that you had a meeting on that Monday.
Yeah, and
you called me,
I
and
forgot to
I
call,
forgot
and I apologize for that. I did talk to Morgan the next day and started working with her on what we could do with that. And then Henry I saw where Henry had talked to you on the email, so. And he was heading the same direction that I was heading for, so. I support Henry's decision on this. I know there's an issue with lot size, but the fact there was already a mobile home there at one time, and I think we made a ruling or something on our ordinance changes. If there was a mobile home existing at one time, it went back to whenever the mobile home was there. And I'm not so sure that wouldn't be fall in this category.
Let me say too, my father has a house, and he's 85 years old. And this is a double wide too. Yeah, and it's old, and so we are eventually gonna have to tear that down. I can't give you a date, I can't tell you how many years it's gonna be, because he's so attached to that house. But, we will eventually tear that down, so there will only be one dwelling on that property.
And I think the Board of Adjustments, they'll hear all that.
I think that would be, and you made a motion, I would second that motion myself, that we do waive that fee for you to go to the Board of Adjustments. The issue that you'll understand that their decision will be a final decision. There's no overriding of the Commissioners of the Board of Adjustment. Their decision will be a final. We cannot, anybody that can override them is the court. You'd have to go to court with that. And that's, you need to know that up front. You want me to coming back to us and us to override it. It cannot be overridden by the Commissioners.
With me today, you're finished.
Well, it ain't, I'm not finished because I'll be here with that meeting with you when you go there. I'll stand there beside of you. I promise you that. Unless I die or something happens, I can't get there, but one of us will be there. But, and I'll make that as a second. Now, any other comments before we vote on it?
Excuse me, sir. I'm sorry, we're having fun down here. At your expense, I might add.
Right. I'm a lame duck. It don't make no difference.
No, I talked to Henry about this situation too, and I'm supportive of that.
I can support that.
You got any input?
Question?
Go ahead.
All right, we got a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, just keep both of us informed of email. My email, if you'll send it to him and all commissioners, I'll get it too. And then I'll try to be there at the meeting.
You'll see the county planner, Morgan Jethro, who will set up.
She'll tell you when the next Board of Adjustment meeting is, and then you'll get on their schedule.
I would ask that you, if you'll pass that to her, that you take that map to them and allow them to know that the majority of those homes are mobile homes, and that may help you some.
All right, thank you, Mr. Miller. All right, that ends our comments. The commissioner comments are next. Kenny?
Were you gonna do citizen comments?
That was the citizen's comments.
Okay. Commissioner's comments, y'all. I was contacted, and this is,
Cut your mic on so we can hear you.
this is, I was contacted by a lady in my district, and this is sort of a comment to the commissioners. She was complaining about the lady's house that's directly in front of hers. They're not cutting their grass, and I think there's been some words said, and she was wanting to know what the zoning was on maybe people cutting their grass. I'm aware of certainly where the site is, and the grass has not been cut lately. I can say that right now. My understanding by talking to a lady on the other side that the grass gets cut about once a month or every 6 weeks. And she wanted to know, like I say, on zoning. We've discussed this in the past. I don't know if Johnny was here or Jack at that time, and we sort of felt like telling people when to cut their grass was not the right thing to do, because then if we go cut it or we take out some kind of legal action against them to make them cut it, if we put in a zoning, where that puts us, you know, as far as collecting our money or whatever, or having to put a lien on their property to collect it and those type things. And I sort of wanted to talk it again, see where the commissioners feel like, where they want to go with this. Do we want an ordinance against or an ordinance for having their grass cut on a, I guess you say, a regular basis, or when it needed cut and hire somebody to come do it and then send them a bill? So I'm gonna put it back out to all the commissioners again to get their take on it. And I will carry this back to the lady that initially contacted me.
Jack, you got anything?
First up.
I'd like to take Kenny's comments here and say I'd like to have some time to think about this.
Certainly.
And also look back at the previous minutes.
Right.
To see what was said earlier. So, citizens' comments from me. It's good to see everybody here today. We had a lot of good interaction today, and it's been a good meeting.
Johnny?
Glad to see all the people that are here today and those that have stayed. Really appreciate that. And then I will expand on what Kenny has just said. I do think that's extremely important. I wouldn't want an ordinance out there if someone had to do that. but a nice little letter that comes from someone would be nice to do that. As when all these old buildings were around in the county and stuff, and I was very supportive of those, having people. And what I'm saying about that is when it infringes upon your neighbor. Now, if it's let's say an old house out in the middle of a field that's half a mile from somebody or whatever, I mean, that's a little different than it is. But if you live right next door to me, and I have a nice piece of property, and I'm doing, keeping my piece of property nice and clean and neat, just as good as I can, and then I see someone beside me that's not doing so, that really presents another problem, where you're not treating your neighbor really with the respect and dignity that you should do. So it is something that touches my heart. You want to motivate people to act and do the right thing. I don't think we can actually put rules and regulations in to actually do that. But a little encouragement from someone else other than the neighbor having to get into, as Kenny said, words being changed. It does need some direction coming from someone else. Says, would you please mind doing this? And it's all about being neighborly and helping your neighbor out and trying to present that kind of image. So I'm sensitive to that. I wouldn't want to rule, but per se, but I would be very sensitive to having some discussion with that person. Hey, you need to up it up a little ante and take and do that, because I think that's necessary. We all want to project the best image that we possibly can, and we need to encourage other people to do that. Since we're not going to have a 4th of July meeting, I hope everyone does have a happy 4th of July, and that we take the time to remember what it actually means to each and every one of us, and how important it is, and how fortunate we are to live in a great country like this with the freedoms we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny. Henry?
All right. Glad to see everyone today. Thank you for coming, and truly this is something that belongs to the public, and we are aware of what public opinion is about our meetings. I do want to address one issue, and this issue continues to come up. It was brought up today in the commission's meeting about the library that we have approved to go forward. The record, first of all, the record speaks for itself. When we initially talked about the library, I initially voted against going forward on the library. Majority of the commissioners voted to go forward. And in doing so, I have felt that since this is something that we have to go forward on because we went through the democratic process, let's make the best out of it. Let's get the best deals on funding and whatever. And we've gone through that process, and we have approved it. We've borrowed the money, and we've selected contractors. There would be a lot of ramifications to try to reverse this process. You know, when you contract with someone and all of a sudden you say, no, I'm not going to go forward, you're going to have to still pay those people. So there's a lot of expense that's gone in. And I can understand that, you know, there's differences of opinion. But the thing about it is we can have a difference of opinion, but we don't have to become disagreeable. And, you know, there's a lot of things that we've done in the county that everyone may not have agreed with, but when we go forward with it, it's at some point in time we have to make the best out of it. And that's where I am. I want to see this project be the best it can be. And I'm not aware of anything that can reverse this process. And I don't think we need to spend a lot of time of trying to just stir up public emotion and look for avenues to try to stop it because we're wasting taxpayers' money. So I would hope that the citizens of this county would understand that we've gone forward. We've got something that we're going to put in place. We want to make the best out of it, and let's do that. So hopefully that issue will be looked at on its merits, not on the fact of just the emotional thoughts that are involved in that. The other thing on the grass cutting, Kenny, I agree with you 100%. I want to see my neighbor's grass cut. But there, I would like to see, as a commissioner, before we would entertain moving forward on something like that, I would like to see what the language is in some of the larger municipalities and counties that have that already in place. We could look at their zoning ordinance and see how they implement something of that nature. And, you know, we're Gates County, we may can modify it or take away or add to and come out with something that we can live with, but yet help our neighbor in making sure that our property or their property doesn't devalue our property. So I'm in agreement with looking at it and seeing what's out there that we might can adopt. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to also say that this piece of property is a piece of rental property, and this person could move and the next person come in and cut the grass on a regular weekly basis. Or it could be the next person might do worse than this person is doing. So, you know, I'm sorry that this lady I feel like has already had some words, and I think there's some hard feelings there now. So I don't know that they can talk too much, but certainly I would love to see it looked at.
Is that it, Ken? Yes. I'd like to thank everybody for being here. With those of you that stayed, Irma, I see you hiding back behind Dan back there. I know you're here. We welcome y'all. We wish everybody would have stayed longer. We've had a good meeting. Nothing very heated, but unusual. And we'd like to try to do all we can for the citizens of Gates County. Other than that, y'all have a safe trip and have a good holiday. We won't be here before holiday again, so happy 4th of July. We've got to go into closed session, so I'll need a motion to go into closed session as authorized by General Statutes 143, 318.11A3, 4, 5, and 6.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Closed session. We've got 3 issues we need to motion and vote on. The first issue is the CDGB issue that we talked about in closed session. Do we have a motion to allow our attorney to act as we instructed him during closed session?
So moved.
All right, we've got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. The next thing on our, we have to vote for is the agreement, the lease agreement we talked about in closed session. Do we have a motion to proceed with that?
We need to authorize, do we need to call names? Authorize county manager and
To negotiate.
Yeah, make the motion.
Authorize to negotiate.
You're right. We need a motion to authorize the county manager and the vice chair to negotiate the lease agreement that we discussed in closed session.
So moved.
second,
And also to authorize the study for the property,
the hydro.
the hydro.
So moved.
All right, we've got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The third thing, we have the study that we talked about for the marketing study. Do we have a motion to authorize that? I'll make a motion that we authorize the study that we talked about. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, motion and second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, that's 3. All opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. All right, that's all the motions that we need. Are there any other business we need to conduct? If not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
A motion made to adjourn, second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign.